Chapter 549. Even if it's gone, it will still respawn. Boss Fish doesn't have to worry about it, Dugu Jiuqiang said, chuckling. Hearing underwater fish's concern for his own boss, Dugu Jiuqiang felt displeased. He inwardly said, "Why didn't you tell me earlier that the boss was stolen? Now you're saying such things? Do you think I'll let you kill it a second time?" Underwater fish anxiously replied, "If we don't stop them, the boss won't respawn." "It won't respawn?" Dugu Jiuqiang sneered. What a joke! Dugu Jiuqiang did not believe underwater fish's words at all. Although the system's boss respawn point was not fixed, its respawn area and cooldown were fixed. After killing the boss, it would no longer respawn. Why would underwater fish believe him? "It's true," underwater fish anxiously said. "The ones who stole the boss are Chuanjin's people. Your apocalypse doesn't have a good relationship with them, right?" "Is that so?" Listening to underwater fish's words, Dugu Jiuqiang had a rough idea of what was going on. It turned out that underwater fish wanted to borrow his hand to deal with Chuanjin. As the leader of a guild, although Dugu Jiuqiang was not wise, he was still quite narrow-minded. Although there was a rift between Chuanjin and the apocalypse, there was no reason for Chuanjin to stand up for someone else. Underwater fish was too naive to think of using someone else to do his dirty work. At this moment, faced with underwater fish's request, even if Dugu Jiuqiang knew what was going on, he would still insist that the boss was killed by United Alliance. "But my people only saw your people entering and leaving the illusion garden. I didn't see anyone else," Dugu Jiuqiang replied. "You!" Underwater fish was furious. If not for the fact that he and his team were not members of Chuanjin, watching fish underwater would not have bothered with Dugu Jiuqiang. After all, the boss of Dugu Jiuqiang had appeared at the end of the world. At the end of the day, Unity Alliance had only lost 1,000 gold coins. However, the attributes of the Crown of Flower Demons were too special. If they didn't grasp this opportunity, once the people from Chuanjin revealed the secret, the Unity Alliance would never be able to obtain it again. At this thought, underwater fish swallowed his anger and said, "Guild Leader Nine Spear, Chuanjin is the enemy of both our guilds. Logically speaking, we are now allies." Dugu Jiuqiang said shamelessly, "I understand the logic, but even blood brothers have to settle their accounts clearly. Besides, Chuanjin is in Yuhuiqing. We've come so far to help you. Even if I agree, my brothers will have complaints." Dugu Jiuqiang insisted that Chuanjin was not in Celestial Dragon City. "How about 1,000 gold coins?" Watching fish underwater could tell that Dugu Jiuqiang only wanted money. 1,000 gold coins? Dugu Jiuqiang laughed again. "Our apocalypse isn't a small guild like yours. How many people can your guild send out right now?" Underwater fish asked with a dark expression. "At least 4,000. To move unhindered, the Apocalypse was the #1 guild in Celestial Dragon City. They could send out 4,000 people at any time. Even Blood Alliance might not be able to do so." "Okay, I'll give you 4,000 gold," Underwater Fish said. Right now, Underwater Fish did not have the time to argue with Dugu Jiuqiang. Once Chuanjin's people boarded the airship, the boss would not be able to chase after them. 4,000 gold coins was not a small amount. Right now, gold coins were worth at least 100 to 90 renminbi. It was just dealing with a dozen or so people. If each person received 1 gold coin, it was definitely worth it. Seeing Underwater Fish spend so much money, Dugu Jiuqiang boldly said, "Seeing how straightforward Boss Fish is, I believe your words are true. Chuanjin's people are in Celestial Dragon City. I'll arrange for people to seal the city. Of course, I'm doing this to eliminate those scum and benefit the players. I'm not doing this for Boss Fish's money." "Then I'll have to thank Guild Leader Dugu. I'll transfer the money to you right away." Saying this, Underwater Fish's heart almost broke. "I'm the one helping you protect the boss, and I'm giving you money. In the end, I still have to thank you." What kind of logic is this? However, at least he managed to convince Dugu Jiuqiang to help. 4,000 against 10. Underwater Fish did not believe that Wang Yu could kill 1,000 players. The boss has been captured. Everyone, hurry back to the city. The apocalypse will seal the city soon. Underwater Fish sent a message in the guild channel. When the players of Southgate received the message, they hurriedly returned to the city. At this time, Wuji and the others arrived near the entrance of Celestial Dragon City. Seeing the players of Unity Alliance hurrying back, Wuji stopped and said, "Everyone, let's rest for a while. Underwater Fish is risking his life. The apocalypse is currently sealing the city." "Then let's hurry to the harbor," Exquisite Dream urged. "No." Wuji pointed at the flower demon and said, "The boss can't keep up with our speed. Its HP is still so low. If we get surrounded, all our efforts will be for naught." "Then what do we do now?" If they couldn't enter the city, they couldn't board the airship. Capturing the flower demon would be useless. "Wait," Wuji said, "we can only enter the city when the road is completely clear." "The road is completely clear?" Exquisite Dream was slightly confused. "What do you mean?" "It means we have to disperse all the people from the apocalypse," Wuji said. Exquisite Dream heard this and angrily said, "F***ck, I'm talking business with you and you're treating me like I'm on Sunday? Disperse the apocalypse? Why don't you just say we're attacking Celestial Dragon City?" Chuanjin only had 10 people. The apocalypse was the #1 guild in the country. Even if they didn't have 10,000 players, they still had 8,000. Even though it wasn't the peak of the game right now, it was still possible to gather a few thousand players. Just 10 people wanting to disperse a few thousand players, wasn't that just nonsense? Even if there were a few thousand monsters, they still wouldn't be able to disperse them so easily. Moreover, a large guild like the Apocalypse wouldn't have any weaklings. Wuji waved his hand and said, "Don't worry, they have people. We have Iron Ox." "Nonsense. Even a golden ox can't fight 1,000 by himself," Exquisite Dream retorted. Exquisite Dream had never doubted Wang Yu's strength. However, if someone said that Wang Yu could fight 1,000 by himself, even if he beat Wuji to death, Exquisite Dream wouldn't believe it. Wuji smiled as he asked the others, "What do you guys think? Should we enter the city or wait for Iron Ox?" "Wait for Iron Ox," Chuanjin's people said in unison. "You're all crazy," Exquisite Dream loudly shouted. Bao San smiled and comforted Exquisite Dream. "Don't worry, it's just a few thousand players. It's far from the upper limit of Old Cow." "What's his upper limit?" Exquisite Dream asked in surprise. "Have you heard of the first 10,000 players PK in Rebirth?" Bao San said. Exquisite Dream nodded and said, "I've heard of it." At that time, the 10,000 players were all taken care of by Iron Ox. Bao San lightly said, "F***ck. You can't brag like that." Exquisite Dream's face had the words, "You're bragging" written all over it. However, when she saw that the Chuanjin people's expressions were indifferent and didn't seem to be nervous, it didn't seem like they were talking nonsense. This caused Exquisite Dream to become flustered. Chapter 550. While Chuanjin was speaking, more and more players gathered at the city gate. It didn't take long for the Apocalypse to control the flow of people in and out. Players from big guilds had always been domineering. Seeing so many Apocalypse players at the gate, the other players in Sky Dragon City didn't dare to say anything. "Boss Dugu, how are the arrangements?" Within Sky Dragon City's resurrection point, Underwater Watching Fish sent a message to Dugu Jiuqiang. "We've followed your arrangements. 4,000 people are gathered at the south gate and the port," Dugu Jiuqiang said. "But can I ask something?" Dugu Jiuqiang immediately asked. "Boss Dugu, please ask." Even though 9 Dugu Spears was insatiably greedy, he was a man of his word. Seeing that 9 Dugu Spears men were so efficient after receiving the gold coins, he was in a good mood. You're only guarding the south gate and the port. What if they enter the city from the other 3 gates? Dugu Jiuqiang asked in confusion. Underwater watching fish smiled. I'm inviting them into the trap. Underwater watching fish was still thinking about the boss. Naturally, he wouldn't let Chuanjin's people wander outside the city. His goal was to keep Chuanjin's people in Sky Dragon City. Oh. Dugu Jiuqiang didn't really understand. In the end, he asked worriedly, they have a very strong Grandmaster of Combat in their guild. Do you want more people? Underwater watching fish sneered in disdain. Boss Dugu, are you not confident in your own people? He had brought out 4,000 people, but now he was afraid of a Grandmaster of Combat. Underwater watching fish was full of disdain towards Dugu Jiuqiang. Cherishing his own body when doing great things, forsaking his friends for small benefit. What a piece of trash, that's not it. Dugu Jiuqiang's face turned red from underwater watching fish's mockery. He then replied, we'll do as you say. If you need more people, as long as the money is there, I can give you another 1,000 people. Thank you for your kindness, Boss Dugu, but not for now. After saying that, Underwater fish closed the chat window. Thinking about how he had to ask for help from a piece of trash, whose brain was only filled with money, underwater fish felt ashamed. At the entrance of Celestial Dragon City, Linglong Meng became more and more alarmed as she looked at the rows of soldiers. There are so many people in this apocalyptic world. Could it be that all of them have been mobilized? A main city had 4 gates and a port. There were at most 1,000 people at each gate, but there were more than 1,000 people standing outside the south gate. Wuji put on his glasses and took a look. Then he smiled and said, watching the fish underwater is really sinister. They've gathered all their people at the south gate and the port. They're opening the door to the thieves. The southern gate was the closest entrance to the illusion garden, and Chuanjin's members had to pass through the harbor. No matter which gate Chuanjin entered the city through, as soon as they were discovered, the apocalypse would swiftly surround them. At that time, even if everyone in Chuanjin's team could fly, they would not be able to protect the boss. If it wasn't for the fact that they were afraid that they wouldn't be able to surround Chuanjin's team and let them escape, they wouldn't have needed to send people to the south gate. After saying that, Wuji smiled and said, it's a good plan, but the performance is too exaggerated. The most important thing is that watching the fish underwater isn't cautious enough. Isn't this cautious enough? Linglong Meng was also speechless. They only had 10 people on their side, but there were nearly 2,000 people blocking the entrance. Even a battle between large guilds could not be compared to this. That's right, he underestimated some irresistible factors. That's why I've already seen through his plan, but he's still lost in mine. As he said that, he sent a message to Wang Yu in the Wuji channel. Where's Old Cow? Strolling on the streets. I'll see if there's another chance to kill watching the fish underwater a few more times. Wang Yu replied. Chuanjin's members sighed in admiration. A man should keep his word. If he said he would kill 100 times, he would kill 100 times. Don't block him anymore. Watching the fish underwater asked someone from the apocalypse for help. Wuji said. Wang Yu said indifferently, it's okay, I'll just kill them all. His tone sounded like he was cutting melons and vegetables. Wuji said, I know you're not afraid, but we have a few thousand people here. We can't enter the city right now. Then what do you want? Wang Yu asked. Wuji said, come, let's carve a bloody path out. Are you kidding me? Do you think I'm a system guard? Wang Yu was sweating profusely. There were a few thousand people in front of him, but he still had to kill a way out. Wuji's requests were becoming more and more unreliable. You're not a system guard, but you can ask system guards to help. Wuji reminded. Remember to bring more people and try to defeat them in one go. Wang Yu was speechless. If it was someone like you who doesn't treat me as a human, I'll crush his head. Damn, the system guards were so cruel, but Wuji still wanted Wang Yu to bring more people. It was fortunate that this was Wang Yu. If it was someone else, Wang Yu wouldn't even bother playing with him. Haha, you're a god. Hurry up. Wang Yu was helpless. He pulled down his mask and ran to the resurrection point. He quickly led the guards at the entrance of the resurrection point to the back. Watching the fish underwater saw Wang Yu jumping up and down like a dog being chased by the guards, he mocked. You want to kill me even though I'm at the resurrection point. You must have gotten this IQ from your president. Laugh my ass. You'll be crying one day. Wang Yu cursed in his mind. He led the guards to the teleportation point, the city hall, and all the major entrances. Wang Yu ran like the wind, leading the guards here and there. Whenever they saw a patrolling guard, they would go up. The patrolling guards would join in the chase without saying anything. Heavenly Dragon City was a very prosperous main city. Although the guards in the city were scattered, there were hundreds of them gathered together. This did not include the regular army of the city hall. The system guards all hated evil. They had to kill people like Wang Yu, who had no regard for human life. Wang Yu ran in front, and the guards chased from behind. It was like pulling a train. The group grew bigger and bigger, attracting many onlookers. However, the system guards were stubborn. As long as they had a target, they could ignore all obstacles. Therefore, the army of guards behind Wang Yu treated the players of Heavenly Dragon City like they were nothing. Everywhere they went, there was nothing left, and the players fled in fear. Seeing the ferocity of the system's underlings, Wang Yu broke out in a cold sweat. Luckily, he had learned Qigong before this. Otherwise, he would have been dismembered by this group of crazy fellows. Leading hundreds of system guards, Wang Yu passed through the city center and made a beeline for the south gate. At this moment, the south gate players were standing guard at the entrance. When they suddenly saw a person charging at them with a white light trailing behind him, they were greatly shocked. Archer, what the hell is that? The leader of the south gate shouted at his archer. The archer shielded his eyes with his hand and looked forward. He exclaimed, "A player is coming our way." Oh, Boss Dugu said not to let anyone go. Prepare the arrow formation, we're going to kill him. The leader ordered. Chapter 551. So be it. We have so many people, what are you afraid of? Shoot. Apocalypse had the absolute advantage in numbers, and Wang Yu's current position was the best place for long-range attack. It was not unwise to not attack and wait for people to get close to him. Receiving the order, Apocalypse's mages and archers attacked Wang Yu without saying a word. The magic spells and arrows that filled the sky instantly enveloped Wang Yu and the guards behind him. No matter how strong Wang Yu was, in the face of such a large-scale attack, he could only cover his vital parts. However, the arrows rained down, and in just one round, Wang Yu's chi shield was broken. Damn! Wang Yu was secretly shocked. In the past, when facing the attacks of archers, Wang Yu always took them with his bare hands. But this wave of arrows from Apocalypse made Wang Yu feel the strength of a group for the first time. The 5 seconds of invincibility quickly passed. The Apocalypse's side had already prepared their second wave of attack. Wang Yu dodged to the side and was about to pull out the red scarf to resist the wave of attacks. At this moment, the guards behind Wang Yu flashed with a red light and rushed towards the Apocalypse's players. These are system guards? At this time, Apocalypse saw who was behind Wang Yu, and they were all dumbfounded. F***ck, it's a berserk guard. How can there be so many? While the players were stunned, the guards had already rushed to a few meters in front of them. Shield battle formation. The leader saw the guards rushing over and quickly commanded his shield warriors to form a shield formation. Shield formation was a level 30 skill for tank. It was a skill that cooperated with other tanks to form a defensive line. For every additional person, the defense and block value of the shield formation increased by 10%, and it could be formed by up to 50 people. The Apocalypse world had 2,000 people, and there were a total of 300 tanks. 6 shield formations were erected, and rays of golden light shone down, protecting everyone within. But no matter how effective the shield formation was, it was only a matter of time against the system guards. Not to mention that these tigers and wolves were in a berserk state from Apocalypse. The two sides clashed, and the guards tore apart the shield formation in one round. In 2 rounds, more than half of the players were killed. In 3 rounds, the 2,000 players were slaughtered. Wang Yu was dumbfounded as he stood on the rooftop. This group of people was unimaginably strong. Good job, next stop is the port. Wuji saw that there were not many players left at the south gate and sent a message to Wang Yu. Got it. Even without Wuji's reminder, Wang Yu knew what to do next. After all, after killing the players of World's End, the guards would turn their attention back to Wang Yu. In a berserk state, the speed of the guards greatly increased, and Wang Yu had to use his qinggong to keep up. Tianlong City was really full of disasters. The game had just started when it was massacred by Bo, and now the guards were slaughtering the players. The players in Tianlong City were frightened by such a strange scene. They either hid in shops or offices, and sent messages to their friends. The guards are massacring the city. Don't come back. After Wang Yu left with the guards, Wu Ji and the rest swiftly entered the city. Out of the 2,000 people from the Apocalypse, less than 50 had been killed by the guard. Of course, a mere 50 people would not be able to stop the experts from the Quan Zhen sect. After dealing with the survivors from the Apocalypse, Wu Ji walked along the streets that had been cleaned by the guards and headed towards the port without any obstructions. Boss Dugu, Chuanzhen's people have entered the city. The leader of the South Gate reported in the guild channel. They entered the city? Dugu was shocked. So many of you couldn't stop them? Stop my A*S. Their Grandmaster of Combat brought a battalion of guards to massacre the city. We were all killed by the guards in a few moments. The leader replied gloomily. Damn. Bringing guards to massacre the city? Dugu felt a chill from the bottom of his heart. F***ck. Even the system guards had to listen to him. Was he a GM? Where did the Grandmaster of Combat go? Dugu asked. He went straight to the port. The leader replied. Dugu's sweat flowed down his forehead, and he immediately shouted in the channel, Brothers at the port, leave quickly and find a place to hide. A battalion of guards, 1 guard could ignore the human wave tactic. How could a few hundred guards not be able to kill gods and Buddhas? The people of the Apocalypse were just asking to be killed if they stayed there. The players at the port had already heard about this in the channel. Without the orders from their boss, they didn't dare to leave. With Dugu's command, everyone quickly left the port. Without Wang Yu bothering them, Underwater Fish and Flowing Cloud took a shortcut to the port. When they arrived at the port, Underwater Fish saw that the players of the Apocalypse were leaving, and was instantly unhappy. He immediately sent a message to Dugu. Boss Dugu, what is the meaning of this? I didn't give you a single cent less. Dugu replied, Boss Underwater Fish, I'm afraid we can't help you with this. Don't worry, I'll return half of your money to you. Dugu wasn't someone who would take a loss. With so many people dead, he had to let Underwater Fish do something. You! Looking at the fish in the water, he was exasperated. Dugu's character was truly trash to the extreme. Not only did he go back on his word halfway through what he had promised, but what was even more infuriating was that he had clearly given up halfway and even scammed the other half. This behavior was simply outrageous. Underwater Fish really wanted to scold Dugu, but he had no choice but to lower his head. He could only sigh and say, Can you tell me why? F***ck. That Grandmaster of Combat in Chuanzhen is massacring the city with hundreds of guards. No matter how many people we have, we won't be able to stop them. Dugu shouted. Guards massacring the city? When Underwater Fish heard Dugu's words, he instantly understood what was going on. He couldn't help but narrow his eyes. Boss Dugu, how about this? You can take the remaining 2,000 gold first. Can you lend it to one person? Underwater Fish said. Lend? Who? Dugu was slightly stunned. 2,000 gold was the appearance fee for 2,000 people. At this time, underwater fish was spending so much money to only lend it to one person. His behavior was a bit strange. I heard that the #1 shield warrior in the country, Thunderlord, is blocking your guild? Underwater fish asked. You can't be thinking of borrowing him, right? Dugu said. Thunderlord blocking others was the treatment of a god, but to Dugu, the boss in name, he was listening but not listening. Facing such a thorn, Dugu was also very annoyed. At this time, underwater fish wanted to borrow Thunderlord's name, which really put Dugu in a difficult position. With Thunderlord's temper, he wouldn't participate in this kind of meaningless Jiang-Hu killing. If Thunderlord heard that Dugu gave him 2,000 gold, he wouldn't know who he would kill first. Chapter 552. What do you think, Boss Dugu? Is there a problem? Underwater fish asked. This. Dugu Jiuqiang said embarrassedly. What I say might not count. It depends on what he thinks. Today's society lacked a lot of things, but it didn't lack a team. In the game, strength was everything. As a god, Lei Gongding couldn't help but steal the spotlight. Even if Dugu Jiuqiang was the boss of Tianxia, he still had to be polite to Lei Gongding. Faced with underwater fish's sudden request, Dugu Jiuqiang couldn't keep his face. Underwater fish had been the #1 player in the country, so he obviously knew what was going on. He didn't laugh at Dugu Jiuqiang and instead said in an understanding manner, You can ask him. If it's possible, I'm willing to add another 1,000 gold. Okay, then it's settled. When Dugu Jiuqiang heard that underwater fish wanted more money, he agreed without hesitation. Old Lei, do you have time? After closing the chat, Dugu Jiuqiang directly sent Lei Gongding a private message. Lei Gongding seemed to be very free and instantly replied, Yeah. Can you help me out? I don't have time, Lei Gongding said. F***ck. Dugu Jiuqiang was so angry that he almost coughed up blood. He asked unhappily, Don't you have time? Lei Gongding said, Yeah, I just don't have time to help you do boring things. It's not boring. This time, I'm asking you to deal with someone. Dugu Jiuqiang said. Who? Lei Gongding was slightly surprised. Even though experts weren't as common as clouds in Tianxia, Sky Dragon City was still an overlord. How could there be an opponent that Dugu Jiuqiang couldn't deal with? Iron Ox. Dugu Jiuqiang said. Him. Lei Gongding's body trembled and he asked excitedly, Where is he? In terms of technique, Lei Gongdue was definitely one of the top experts. Experts of his level loved to challenge experts of the same level to hone their strength. Back in the Apostle Seal dungeon, Lei Gongdian had witnessed Wang Yu's evasive fighting style. Wang Yu's ability to tank the boss single-handedly left a deep impression on Lei Gongdian. As one of the best shield warriors, if he had a shield in his hands, Lei Gong was confident that he could block the sixth apostle's attack. Although he would not be as elegant as Wang Yu's dodging style, that was a class advantage. At the very least, a shield warrior's blocking style would be more stable than a pugilist's. Therefore, after Lei Gongfeng left Yu Huiqing, he had been comparing himself to Wang Yu. What would the result be if the two of them PK? He had only been thinking about it for 2 days, and Wang Yu had come knocking on his door. You agree? Dugu Jiuqiang was overjoyed. Coordinates? Lei Gongdian shamelessly asked, interrupting Dugu Jiuqiang's nonsense. South Gate Port. Dugu Jiuqiang hurriedly said. Okay. Lei Gongdian replied. He took out a scroll and tore it in half. A white light wrapped around the two halves, and in the next moment, he disappeared. A city return scroll was a reward for completing special quests. Ordinary players treated it like a treasure, yet Lei Gongdian had used it for a PK. Sure enough, professional players did not lack money. After sending the coordinates, Dugu Jiuqiang replied to Underwater Fish. He went over. He came over? As soon as Underwater Fish received the message, he saw a tall and sturdy man appear at the port's teleportation point. Because the apocalypse had cleared the area, there were not many players at the port. Lei Gongdian's appearance was very conspicuous. "Big guy, is it?" "Yes, it's him," Dugu Jiuqiang said. "You must be Lei Gongdian." Underwater fish hurriedly greeted him. Lei Gongdian had a blank expression. "Who are you?" When underwater fish saw that this person really was Lei Gongdian, he excitedly said, "I'm called underwater fish. I told Boss Dugu to ask for your help. This is, oh." Underwater fish was just about to introduce Nian Luyun when Lei Gongdian nodded his head and interrupted him. "You guys go stand over there. Don't get in the way." Underwater fish and Nian Luyun were both stunned. This guy was quite confident. He didn't even ask who his opponent was and wanted to fight alone? That god Lei Gongdian. This time, his opponent isn't simple. Underwater fish said. Lei Gongdian said, "I know. Otherwise, I wouldn't have come." Underwater fish and Nian Luyun were once again stunned. This guy in front of them really was crazy. Nian Luyun said in a displeased tone, "You don't know how strong that person is. Don't brag." Nian Luyun used to be called a super expert. Ever since she was insta-killed by Wang Yu a few times, her confidence as an expert had disappeared without a trace. However, seeing Lei Gongdian look down on Wang Yu like this, she still felt a bit annoyed. "Oh? Who are you?" Lei Gongdian glanced at Nian Luyun and asked, as if he had just noticed her. "Nian Luyun." Nian Luyun replied. Nian Luyun's name in rebirth wasn't inferior to Lei Gongdian's. Hearing Nian Luyun's name, Lei Gongdian was clearly a little surprised. After a moment of surprise, Lei Gongdian asked Nian Luyun, "Who's going first?" "First my ass. Why would I ask you if I can fight him one-on-one?" Nian Luyun cursed inwardly as she said, "It's best if we both go together." "Then no, Aya, why is there no one here?" Lei Gongdian was about to reject teaming up with Nian Luyun when a voice suddenly sounded. The three of them looked in the direction of the voice and saw Wang Yu running over. Following closely behind Wang Yu was a neat phalanx of guards. There were hundreds of them. When Wang Yu ran to the port, the guards at the port immediately rushed forward and brandished their spears to attack Wang Yu. After Wang Yu dodged the attacks by jumping up and down, the guards at the port joined in the chase. Holy sh*t, what is this guy doing? Seeing this scene, Lei Gongdian's eyeballs almost popped out. God Lei Gongdian, hurry up and stop him. Otherwise, he'll escape. Just then, underwater fish shouted. Seeing Wang Yu's insane speed, Lei Gongdian knew that if Wang Yu wanted to escape, he definitely couldn't stop him. Hearing underwater fish's shout, Lei Gongdian lowered his head and charged over. Wang Yu was slightly puzzled when he saw the large shield charging at him. Just as he was about to dodge, Lei Gongdian suddenly shouted, "Bastard!" Involuntarily, Wang Yu was pulled over. Wang Yu had only seen two shield warriors who could use charge and taunt seamlessly. One of them was Yin Lauer and the other was Lei Gongshou. The moment he was pulled back, Wang Yu looked down and saw that it was indeed Lei Gongdian. When Lei Gongdian saw Wang Yu descending from the sky, he swung his large shield and smashed it at Wang Yu. Shield bash had a stun effect, and there were hundreds of guards chasing after Wang Yu. If he was stunned here, he would definitely die. Hey! Chapter 553. The Thunder God Guard was playing manual mode. When his shield bash missed Wang Yu, he nearly twisted his waist. He dodged it. After the Thunder God Guard recovered from his daze, he was inwardly shocked. If they were on the ground, Wang Yu could dodge the shield bash. However, players had no footholds in midair. It was similar to how a pugilist could only follow up with a combo after knocking someone into the air. The Thunder God Guard's shield bash should have hit, but who would have thought that Wang Yu would be able to make a turn in midair? This simply defied common sense. At this moment, Wang Yu had landed on the other side of the Thunder God Guard. Seeing this, Nian Luyun took a diagonal step forward and grabbed Wang Yu's arms. Due to Nian Liuyun's class advantage, her arms were extraordinarily strong and had high priority. After Nian Liyun grabbed his arms, Wang Yu's arms lost their ability to attack. The guard behind him was getting closer and closer. Wang Yu stretched out both of his arms and widened the distance between the two of them. At the same time, he raised his right leg and kicked Nian Liyun's chin, sending him flying. As Wang Yu's kick had been executed in a moment of desperation, his skill completion rate was not high. He failed to one-shot Nian Liyun, only taking away half of his HP. Even so, Underwater Fish was scared out of his wit. He had chosen to stop Wang Yu here to pin down the Thunder God. If Nian Liyun died, Underwater Fish couldn't guarantee that the Thunder God guard would be able to suppress this demon by himself. During this delay, the guards were less than 5 meters away from Wang Yu. The guard at the front swung his spear, about to cast a skill. Wang Yu swung his arm and used Collapsing Fist, increasing the distance between them. Bastard! With another sneer, the Thunder God block chased after Wang Yu like a haunting ghost. He pulled Wang Yu, who was in midair, away from her direction again. F***CK, are you done yet? While Wang Yu was feeling depressed, Lei Gonglao sent another shield bash at him. This time, Wang Yu didn't dodge and allowed the shield bash to hit him. Lei Gonglao was delighted and prepared to follow up with a combo. However, a blue light flashed on Wang Yu's body, and the stun effect was lifted. At the same time, he stepped on the Thunder God's shield with 4 consecutive kicks. The first 3 kicks were the enhanced version of the Thunder Eagle Stomp, and the last kick was the Thunder Stomp. After the 4th kick, the Thunder God block was trampled to the ground. How could this be? Lei Gonglao was confused. When a shield warrior blocked, there would be a block value. As long as the block value wasn't empty, the player wouldn't take damage. However, he still had half of the block value left. How could he be defeated? What he didn't know was that Wang Yu's 4 kicks were aimed at the top edge of the Thunder God block's shield. The shield's strongest block range was the center of the shield, and the edge was the weakest area. Although the Thunder God block wouldn't take damage if the block value wasn't empty, when Wang Yu kicked the weakest area, the Thunder God block's priority would be much lower. First, Lei Gonglao was in manual mode, and his blocking was not as stable as the system mode. Second, Wang Yu's skills were buffed by his internal breath, and the priority was greatly increased. Therefore, Lei Gonglao was trampled to the ground by Wang Yu. In just a single exchange, the guards had caught up to Wang Yu. The guards raised their spears in unison and threw their dazzling skills at Wang Yu. Holy Light Soul-Splitting Slash. Underwater Fish was pleasantly surprised. Holy Light Soul-Splitting Slash was a level 100 Knight ultimate skill. It was the skill with the highest damage in Rebirth. During the closed beta, there was a saying that there wasn't a monster that Holy Light couldn't kill instantly. If there was, then use 2. This showed how powerful this skill was. In the hands of ordinary players, it was already so powerful, not to mention in the hands of the guards who were far stronger than the boss. Hundreds of guards used Holy Light Soul-Splitting Slash at the same time. Players in Rebirth might not even get to see it once in their lives, and players who could personally experience this skill were even rarer. Heavenly Dragon was indeed a magical place. 2 miracles had been created one after another. The dazzling Holy Light blades slashed at underwater for a full 10 seconds. Underwater Fish could even feel the air being torn apart. This should be enough to kill you. Damn you, Underwater Fish thought to himself as he clenched his fists. After being killed by Wang Yu so many times in a row, Underwater Fish's hatred for Wang Yu was not just a tiny bit. Now that Wang Yu had fallen into such a situation, Underwater Fish was undoubtedly the most enjoyable thing to do. Damn, you guys are so ruthless. I was almost killed by you guys. Just when Underwater Fish thought that Wang Yu's soul had been destroyed, Wang Yu's voice came from the Holy Light again. At the same time, Wang Yu's figure shot into the sky, quickly distancing himself from the guards. The most eye-catching thing was the vulgar and ridiculous scarf around Wang Yu's neck, as if it was mocking the ignorance of the world. F***ck. He's using a cheat. Underwater Fish's eyes were filled with tears of blood. Hundreds of guards had used their ultimate skills and still failed to kill this bastard. Damn it, only a fool would believe that he wasn't using a cheat. The guards, who were kneeling on the ground after casting their skills, saw Wang Yu escape. They stood up expressionlessly and wanted to give chase again. At this moment, a crossbow bolt flew over and hit one of the guards in the head. Wuji and the others had finally arrived near the port. Yang Na raised her demon hunting crossbow and fired a few more arrows at the guard. To the guards, killing a person was a small matter, but assaulting a police officer was a big deal. Yang Na's vile behavior immediately drew the guards' hatred towards her. The guards charged at Yang Na, but she turned and ran. Hee, you're finally here. Seeing that Wang Yu's reinforcements had arrived, Underwater Fish was not surprised. Instead, he smiled proudly and issued an order in the party channel: "The target has appeared. Everyone, attack." As soon as Underwater Fish gave the order, the 20 or so players from One Heart Alliance, who were lying in ambush nearby, jumped out and charged at Chuanjin's party. The players from One Heart Alliance seemed to be prepared to die. Not only did they not use their skills when they suddenly appeared, but they also fearlessly charged at them, catching Chuanjin's party off guard. When Chuanjin's party came to their senses, their formation had already been broken. At this moment, 3 shield-bearers and cleric Xiao He charged into Chuanjin's formation. Xiao He muttered an incantation and a white light with golden runes landed on the flower demon, who was wearing the 100-flower equipment set. Hee, girl, are you interested in me? Cast a few more spells for me, and I'm willing to serve you for the rest of my life. The flower demon chuckled and turned around. His wretched and ugly face immediately scared the 4 people out of their wits, especially Xiao He, who almost dropped the staff in her hand. Who else could it be other than Mingdu with such a wretched and ugly face? What the hell are you? Xiao He asked in a trembling voice after she calmed down. Pervert. Mingdu chuckled and held a torch in one hand. With a wave of his hand, an overwhelming number of spells flew toward Xiao He. Chapter 554. Although the concentric alliance had the advantage in numbers and had the upper hand, they were no match for the experts of the Quan Zhen sect. After losing their only opportunity, they were instantly suppressed by the Quan Zhen sect's members and could only barely put up a fight. What do you think? I knew Fish Watcher Underwater was up to no good, Wuji said with a cold smile after turning the tables. When the Chuanjin people saw that the streets were empty along the way, they realized that there would be no one guarding the port. However, with the people who were watching the fish underwater, they would definitely not let the matter rest. There would definitely be a wave of ambushes. Thus, just now, Wuji had Mingdo change into the 100 Flowers set, and the guy in the team who was dressed like a sorcerer with a blank expression was the flower demon. Seeing that Xiao He's ambush tactic had failed and that Chuanjin had gained the upper hand, Fish Watcher Underwater panicked and yelled, "Flowing Cloud, go and help." Got it. Flowing Cloud received the order and executed a collapsing fist, jumping into the fray. At this moment, Wang Yu, who was at the side, suddenly smashed the underwater fish leg with her rod, causing Nian Luyun to fall to the ground. Where do you think you're going? I'm your opponent. You. Flowing Cloud jumped up anxiously and angrily. His left hand turned into a tiger's claw, and his right hand spread out slightly as he slashed at Wang Yu. Flowing Cloud was also furious. This guy's hand skills were far inferior to Wang Yu's, yet he didn't even use a skill against Wang Yu with his bare hands. Wasn't he just asking to be beaten up? Wang Yu calmly received Nian Luyun's attack and pulled him to the side. Nian Luyun was already pouncing forward, so he lost his balance and fell to the ground. Wang Yu raised his foot and was about to stomp Flowing Cloud to death when someone suddenly yelled, "Bastard!" and Wang Yu was pulled to the side for the 3rd time. F***? Wang Yu broke down. There was a saying that experts would never be hit by the same skill twice, yet he had fallen to the same skill 3 times in a row. It was truly embarrassing. However, there was no way around it. A shield warrior's taunt was a voice-controlled skill. It had no trajectory and couldn't be dodged. If the shield warrior shouted at you, it wouldn't matter if you replied or not. This setting was ridiculous. They were both close combat experts, but a shield warrior had a much greater advantage over a grandmaster of combat. Grandmasters of combat tended to be light and agile. In general, they were somewhat similar to assassins. They were both squishy professions. The only difference was that grandmasters of combat did not have as much agility as assassins, and their damage output was not as high as assassins. The shield warrior wore a full set of heavy armor and had a shield to protect himself. His HP was also surprisingly high. Even if he was a bit clumsy with his taunt, dealing with agility-based squishy classes would be a piece of cake. Wang Yu was taunted. The Thunder God Lord raised his shield and smashed it. He dared to use the same trick 3 times in a row against Wang Yu, and the success rate was still so high. Lei Gongdang was indeed an expert among experts. Bang! Wang Yu was smashed by the shield and exploded into a pile of fragments. F***ck. Lei Gongdang's mental breakdown wasn't much better than Wang Yu's. Although taunt followed by shield bash was only a small combo for shield warriors, it was the opening combo with the highest success rate among all the skills available to shield warriors. Whether it was in PvP or PvE, shield warriors rarely made any mistakes when using this combo. However, even a top expert shield warrior like Lei Gonglao had failed 3 times in a row with this simple and highly successful combo. Meow, this fellow is really a troublesome fellow. Lei Gongdang was depressed, but as an expert, he didn't stay idle. When he saw Wang Yu disappear, he subconsciously raised his shield to protect his head. Bang! There was a loud noise. Almost at the same time, Wang Yu kicked down with a thunderous kick, landing solidly on the shield. Wang Yu's kick had a very high priority, and Lei Gongdang didn't use guard. The shield was kicked back and hit Lei Gongdang's helmet, producing a piercing sound. 274. The damage number floated up. F***ck. Wang Yu and Lei Gongdang exclaimed at the same time. What an iron turtle! That kick didn't kill him. What a monster! If that kick hadn't been blocked by the shield, it would have killed me. The two thought at the same time. Wang Yu swung his arms and legs, his eyes turning serious. He jumped around, looking for an opportunity to attack. Lei Gongdang had witnessed Wang Yu's attack power and didn't dare to take it lightly. He wanted to hide under his shield, not daring to reveal any openings, for fear of being killed in one hit. Tortoise Style's playstyle was to defend and counterattack. Although Lei Gongdang was frustrated, he kept his composure. If Wang Yu didn't attack, he would defend and not move. Hey! While the two were facing off, Thought Flowing Cloud pounced again, going straight for Wang Yu's chest. Seeing this, Wang Yu took a step back and dodged Thought Flowing Cloud's attack. Thought Flowing Cloud landed on the ground and roared. He kicked the ground a few times and increased his speed again, grabbing with both hands. Thought Flowing Cloud was also a martial artist. His attack angles were precise and his attacks were fast. With both hands attacking with both hands, it was impossible for Wang Yu to dodge all of them. He had no choice but to counterattack with both hands. Unexpectedly, Thought Flowing Cloud was smarter this time. Seeing Wang Yu counterattack, he used his grab skill and grabbed Wang Yu's wrist. Wang Yu flipped in the air in an attempt to negate the force of the grab, but Thought Flowing Cloud's other hand caught up and grabbed Wang Yu's arm. Grabbed by Nian Liuyan's hands, Wang Yu only felt a huge force, and then he could no longer move. An opportunity! When Lei Gongdang saw that Wang Yu was restrained, a glint flashed in his eyes. Raising his shield, he charged at Wang Yu. With Thought Flowing Cloud forcibly grabbing him, it would be ridiculous if Lei Gongdang failed again. Lei Gongdang rammed into Wang Yu and sent him flying. His HP, which he had recovered after much difficulty, fell to rock bottom once more. Seeing Wang Yu flying, the two experts simultaneously breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, this fellow was not an unsolvable boss. Once upon a time, the two of them had been overlords of their respective regions. Now, however, the two of them had revealed such joyful expressions after only one move. If this had happened in the past, neither of them would have believed it. Let's attack together. Protect me. Lei Gongdang nodded. The two then charged at Wang Yu, one in front and one behind. When thought-flowing cloud arrived, Wang Yu pressed his palms against the ground and quick recover. He then lowered his body and grabbed thought-flowing cloud by the collar with one hand and the pocket of her pants with the other. He then spun his feet, using the force of the kick to throw thought-flowing cloud back to where she came from. At the same time, Wang Yu leaped into the air to follow up with another two kicks. Lei Gongdang raised his shield, protecting thought-flowing cloud. In response, Wang Yu's attacks landed on Lei Gongdang's shield. Pung! 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 Powerful sounds rang out, and Lei Gongdang was forced to take 2 steps back before he could stabilize himself. Using the force of the kick, Wang Yu flipped backward and landed across from thought-flowing cloud and Lei Gongdang. Chapter 555. Lei Gongdang and Nian Liuyun's faces flushed red. The two of them were not nobodies. No matter who they were, they would be famous gods, the kind that could hold the fort. Yet, they had fallen to the point where they had to take on one person, and they were even being abused in all sorts of ways. Before Wang Yu had fought them, he had already been buffed by hundreds of NPC soldiers. His HP was only in the single digit. Even so, Wang Yu had been able to suppress the two of them. Now that Wang Yu had said that, the two of them felt that it was more sarcastic than complimentary. They were both experts, so he was not giving them any face at all. In reality, Wang Yu was not joking. He was mocking Lei Gongdang and Nian Liuyun. Both of their classes leaned toward strong crowd control, which was quite effective against Wang Yu. The reason why they had been beaten up by Wang Yu was because of the difference in levels and techniques, as well as their classes. Lei Gongdang's large shield had high defense, but his DPS was very low. He could only attack like a turtle. In general, he could not fight Wang Yu at all. If not for his high defense, he would have been kicked to death by Wang Yu long ago. Nian Liuyun's DPS was enough, but his defense was low, and his techniques were clearly inferior to Wang Yu's. Before Wang Yu learned Qinggong, Nian Liuyun could use his class advantage to spar with Wang Yu for a while. Now that Wang Yu had learned Qinggong, his speed skyrocketed, and Nian Liuyun could not parry at all. Wang Yu also knew how shameless Nian Liuyun's skills were. Every time he attacked, he would use a killer move. Nian Liuyun could not even say a word and was instantly killed. Now that the two of them worked together, the situation changed. In PvP, it was the opposite. When two experts, especially Nian Liuyun and Lei Gong, blocked each other's attacks and defenses, they complemented each other's weaknesses. Their combat power was not as simple as 1+1. As the two of them fought, Wang Yu could not help but become serious. Wang Yu said to the two of them, "You two are too strong. I might go a little overboard later, don't mind me." Nian Liuyun was speechless once more. Lei Gongdang, the hot-tempered man, could not take it any more after being ridiculed by Wang Yu. He pointed at Wang Yu and said, "A scholar can be killed, but not humiliated. If you want to fight, then fight. Why are you talking nonsense?" "That's right. I admire your temper." Wang Yu smiled, bent down, and rushed toward the two of them. "Take 2 steps back, raise your shield, and taunt." Thought-flowing cloud commanded the Lei Gong to block, as Wang Yu charged forward. Lei Gongbei retreated without saying a word and raised his giant shield. At the same time, Wang Yu arrived and kicked the shield. The huge impact caused Lei Gongbei's body to tremble. Before Wang Yu could retract his foot, Lei Gongdang used taunt again and grabbed Wang Yu. At that time, Nian Luyun jumped out from behind the shield and grabbed Wang Yu's ankle. Last time, Nian Luyun grabbed Wang Yu's foot and was stomped to death. This time, Nian Luyun pounced and grabbed both of Wang Yu's feet. To be honest, Nian Luyun felt embarrassed to use such a thigh-grabbing move. Almost at the same time, Lei Gongding's shield came crashing down. Nian Luyun. Wang Yu was not someone to be trifled with. Wang Yu bent over and grabbed Nian Luyun's hair with one hand and grabbed her ear with the other. Nian Luyun involuntarily pounced at Wang Yu. Lei Gong was unable to stop in time, and his shield bash smashed into Nian Luyun's back, stunning him into dizziness. Wang Yu took the opportunity to kick Nian Luyun to death. Lei Gongdang arrived in time and pressed down with his shield, vowing to break Wang Yu's neck. Wang Yu hurriedly rolled on the ground to dodge Lei Gongding's shield. He half knelt on the ground. At that moment, Nian Luyun's stun had been dispelled. He rolled and quick recovered. He spread his arms and used eagle stamp to stomp at Wang Yu. Wang Yu waved his hands and his glove transformed into a staff. He raised it above his head and Nian Luyun sat on the top of the staff. Men's most vulnerable spots were in that position. Apart from their crotch, there was also their chrysanthemum. Wang Yu swung his staff and threw Nian Luyun to the side. Ah! A scream like that of a pig being slaughtered tore through the sky. Nian Luyun fell to the ground, unconscious. There was no sense of pain in the game. He was probably scared out of his wits. Not far away, the group of Unity Heart Alliance led by Underwater Watcher Fish and the group of Quanzhun sect led by Wuji heard the commotion and saw this scene. Lei Gongdang was so shocked that snot flowed down his nose. He raised his shield in front of him, not daring to give Wang Yu the slightest opening, be it in front of him or behind him. Wang Yu leaped into the air and used a double step in midair, intending to leap over his shield and kick Lei Gongding's head. Lei Gongdang didn't dare let Wang Yu fly over. While Wang Yu was still in front of his shield, Lei Gongdang peeked his head out and used taunt on Wang Yu. The scientific name of this skill was waiting for the rabbit. It was a difficult anti-air skill for shield warriors. It could attract a target that was taller than his head to the front of his shield, and then use shield bash to force the target to move and stun them. However, before Wang Yu arrived, the long rod arrived first. The god of Thunderblock had only shouted one word when Wang Yu's long rod had already been delivered to the god of Thunderblock's mouth, causing him to shut up obediently. "What the f***ck?" Lei Gongdang immediately cried. He had seen with his own eyes what this lousy staff had stabbed into, and now it was stuffed into his mouth. Lei Gongdang peeked his head out from behind his shield to taunt Wang Yu. Wang Yu's staff was stuck in the shield, forming a fulcrum with the edge of the shield. The great principle of leverage told us that whoever had a longer staff would have more strength. After stabbing the staff into Lei Gongdang's mouth, Wang Yu sprinted to the right and pried the Lei Gongdang out from behind his shield. After losing his shield, Lei Gongdang had completely turned into a turtle without a shell. Wang Yu leapt forward and turned him into a white light with a few punches and kicks. After taking care of the two, Wang Yu dragged his staff and went to help Wuji and the others. The two fiercest members of the Common Alliance had already been taken care of, so their morale was low. When they saw the deranged Wang Yu charging over with the morning staff, they were scared out of their wit. They even forgot to resist, and were wiped out by Chuanzhen's team in a matter of seconds. "Slow down, leave Fish Watcher to me," Wang Yu yelled as he ran. In the end, Wang Yu's words were a step too slow. By the time he reached the battlefield, to place one's pride had already twisted off Fish Watcher's head. "Uncle Nyo, what did you just say?" To place one's pride asked in bewilderment. "And nothing," Wang Yu said. "Oh huh? That be *tch drop something." At this moment, to place one's pride lowered his head and saw an irregular metal strip at his feet. He bent down and picked it up. "F***ck, what's that, what's that?" Everyone anxiously asked. In Rebirth, players without PK value had a very low drop rate. Fish Watcher had been killed so many times by Wang Yu and didn't drop any equipment. They didn't think that to place one's pride would drop something after killing it once. To place one's pride could be considered to have wiped away his previous humiliation. To be continued. Chapter 556. To place one's pride picked up the item that Underwater Watcher Fish had dropped and opened its status panel. Atlantis Key. Rare function. Unknown, tisk. Everyone looked at the item with disdain. They thought it was something good, but it turned out to be a piece of trash that didn't even know its function. Items with unknown functions in Rebirth had to be explored by the players themselves. Since the start of the game, there were all sorts of items with unknown properties. Players spent a lot of time and money to explore them. In the end, they came to the conclusion that exploring the unknown was a trap. Although there was a chance that the item might be a good item, there was a high chance that it was trash. F***CK. That B***TCH. To place one's pride was about to throw the key away in anger. Wuji quickly stopped to place one's pride and said, "What are you throwing? What's the point of keeping this thing?" To place one's pride said gloomily as he grabbed the key. It was as if this key was the one that had nailed him to the pillar of shame. Wuji laughed and said, "Don't you know what kind of person Underwater Watcher Fish is? Do you think he carries trash with him?" To place one's pride immediately calmed down. Underwater Watcher Fish had a strange habit. He never carried any useless items on him, nor did he keep any useless people around him. Since this key was dropped by Underwater Watcher Fish, it definitely wasn't trash. At the very least, Underwater Watcher Fish should know the origin of this key. But this thing doesn't even have an item description. I can't ask every NPC in the main city, right? To place one's pride said. Normally, unknown items would have a general description. The description would tell the players where to look for clues. However, this key was completely blank. It was an item without any clues. Wuji calmly said, "Who cares? Keep it for now. I'll look into it when I have time." While everyone was talking, Yang Na had already shaken off the guards and ran back. Seeing Yang Na return, Wang Yu quickly put on his mask. When the NPC soldiers chased after a target with less than 10 PK points, the moment the target left their line of sight, the NPC soldiers' aggro would disappear, and the NPC soldiers would return to their homes. However, Wang Yu had already killed Lei Gongdeng, and his PK points had reached 10. If he didn't wear his mask, it wouldn't be long before all the NPC soldiers caught up to him. Yang Na returned to the team, and the rest of Quan Zhen boarded the cruiser to return home, leaving behind the strangely silent Heavenly Dragon City. Have the guards who massacred the city left? After a long time, the players from Heavenly Dragon City poked their heads out to gather information on the street. They're gone. Seeing that the guards had returned to normal, the players heaved a sigh of relief. "Oh my God, I was scared to death. How could this be? Is there something wrong with the system? Who knows? Anyway, I'll just hide from the guards in the future." The players on the streets discussed among themselves, and the players at the respawn point were about to explode. After being massacred by the system guards for no reason, no one dared to leave the respawn point. The respawn point was now full of people. Some of the more hot-tempered players had already gone offline to cause trouble on the official website. Those who knew the situation, watching fish underwater, spread rumors everywhere at the respawn point. "That guy is called Ironok. He used to cheat. Everyone, go and report him." As for Wang Yu, watching fish underwater really didn't have the guts to face him head-on. The only thing he could do was borrow the system's hand to get rid of this bug-like guy. With so many people reporting him, even if he didn't kill Wang Yu, he had to disgust Wang Yu. Ironox? Isn't that him? He used to cheat, no wonder. Those who drowned were all people who knew how to swim, and those who were massacred by the guards were also those old players who thought highly of themselves. Of course, these people had heard of Wang Yu. With watching fish underwater's incitement, Everyone instantly remembered Wang Yu's bug-like exploit. It was a game, after all. It was inevitable for people to be jealous of those who were better than them. Now that everyone had died because of Wang Yu, and they heard that Wang Yu had a cheat, they were envious and resentful. The more they thought about it, the angrier they became. They all went offline to cause trouble on the official website and the forums. Seeing that his incitement was effective, watching Fish Underwater's resentment towards Chuanjin for stealing the boss dissipated a little. He sent a message to Nian Luyun. Luyun, where are you? After a long time, Nian Luyun replied bitterly, the port, I haven't moved yet. Watching Fish Underwater blurted out. The moment the words left his mouth, Watching Fish Underwater realized that he had made a slip of the tongue. After all, that kind of injury couldn't be healed in a short period of time. However, it was too late for regret. Watching Fish Underwater had already sent the message. No. I feel like I've lost more than just face. I want to be alone for a while. Nian Luyun said with a dead heart. I've lost my life. Watching Fish Underwater wanted to comfort Nian Luyun. Nian Luyun said, that's different. Some things can't be found once they're lost. You've only lost your life. Watching Fish Underwater was stunned by Nian Luyun's words. He sighed and said, all right then. Calm down first. If it didn't happen to them, no one would understand the pain of the person involved. Watching Fish Underwater was a smart person, so he naturally understood this principle. However, Nian Luyun's words reminded Watching Fish Underwater that he had really only lost his life. Thinking to this point, Watching Fish Underwater looked at his equipment window. Yes, all his equipment was in good condition. After rummaging through his bag, he found that all the items and spare equipment were still there. After dying so many times without dropping anything, Underwater Fish's originally gloomy mood lightened a little. Watching Fish Underwater's attitude was excellent. It was just a boss. No matter how big the storm was, this brat had survived it. Gains and losses were no longer important to him. However, when Watching Fish Underwater flipped to the last item in his bag, his expression froze once more. Crap, are you messing with me? Watching Fish Underwater could not help but shout. Of all the items I could have dropped, why did I drop this? Crap. If I had known this would happen, I would have stored it in the warehouse. Watching Fish Underwater shouted in regret. Boss, what's wrong? Watching Fish Underwater lost his composure. One of Watching Fish Underwater's players asked curiously. No. It's nothing. I dropped a small item. I'll go to the port to look for it later. If you guys want to go back first, Watching Fish Underwater said in a panic. Watching Fish Underwater was a person who rarely shared his heart with his friends. At this moment, he was obviously trying to hide this from his subordinate. The Watching Fish Underwater's players did not mind. Nodding, they said, let's go together. We still have to take an airship from the port to go home. Is that so? I actually forgot. Watching Fish Underwater said, losing his composure. On the way to the port, Watching Fish Underwater silently prayed that the item he dropped would not be seen by others. Even if someone did see it, they would ignore it as trash. After arriving at the port, Watching Fish Underwater separated from his brothers and immediately ran to the place one's pride had strangled him to death. Chapter 557. What are you looking for? While the fish in the water was groping on the ground, he suddenly heard a familiar voice. Flowing Cloud. Underwater Fish looked up. Who else could it be but Underwater Fish? Underwater Fish crouched not far away, his eyes listless as he weakly asked, It's useless even if you keep looking for it. It's already been half an hour. If no one picks it up, it'll respawn. Underwater Fish wanted to cry. If it was equipment, I wouldn't have come back. Alright, did you see something that looks like a key? The fish in the water said as he gestured the shape of the Atlan key. I saw it, Flowing Cloud said. Hearing Nian Luyun's words, the fish in the water instantly perked up. It pounced forward and shouted, "Give it to me!" Flowing Cloud waved her hand and slapped Underwater Fish to the side, saying weakly, "It was picked up by Chuanjin, Quanjin sect?" The heart of the person watching the fish in the water immediately fell from heaven to hell. If this thing was picked up by someone else, it might be possible to get it back by spending some money. However, the people from the Chuanjin sect were very cunning. They could get 100 yuan out of something that was worth a dime. Moreover, this thing belonged to them. Even if it was worthless, they wouldn't return it. Why would they want this trash? Underwater Fish said gloomily. That cleric said that it's something you dropped. Even if it takes up space, it can't be thrown away. Flowing Cloud said. F***ck. That be **tc. Underwater Fish went crazy. Why didn't you get it back for me? Flowing Cloud lowered her head in silence. I can't beat them. She said the word them softly, but the meaning behind it was self-evident. Ugh! Underwater Fish saw how pitiful Flowing Cloud was and was too embarrassed to say anything else. He sat down next to Flowing Cloud and became her brother. At this time, Chuanjin's people had returned to the guild encampment. Inside the guild encampment in Chuanjin, Li Shui and her sisters were all there. As soon as they arrived at the meeting hall, Wu Ji asked the girls, "Are you ready?" "Ready," Li Shui replied. "What are we going to prepare?" Everyone asked, confused. "Old Li, bring the flower demon here." Wu Ji followed Li Shui out of the meeting hall and beckoned for the others to follow. After exiting the meeting hall, they went around the forging room and followed Wu Ji and Li Shui to the back of the refining room. When they arrived at their destination, everyone was surprised to find that the empty space here had been filled with medicinal herbs and turned into a garden of medicinal herbs. Thousand Leaves Grass, Reincarnation Flower. Daoshua looked at the herbs in the herbal field and called out their names one by one. He then said in surprise, "These are the most expensive herbs in the market." "The seeds are worth quite a lot of money," Li Shui said shyly. "Actually, it's not that much money. If we had a good herbalist, the effect would be much better. Put the flower demon inside." Wu Ji pointed at the herb field and gave an order to Mingdu. Mingdu brought the flower spirit into the herb field and clicked on release. Strangely enough, once a player's battle was released, they would either disappear or return to their monster state. But after Mingdu released the flower spirit, it didn't move. At that moment, everyone received a system notification. System notification. Your guild, Chuanjin, has activated the Guild Beast Soul, Flower Spirit. Soul of Flower Spirit, Guild Beast Soul, LV 25. Gold, Elite, Life Force. All guild members P plus 500, P plus 500 growth of all things. Plants within the guild encampment mature 50% faster. Spirit Essence. Flower Spirit will produce 1 petal Spirit Essence per day. 10 petal Spirit Essences will equip a Flower Spirit Crown. Flower Spirit Crown, Consumption Type Equipment. The wearer has a 100% chance of reviving on the spot. After reviving, the equipment will disappear. Everyone was shocked when they saw the system notification. Guild Beast Soul? How did this thing come about? Chun Xiang asked Wu Ji in astonishment. Others might not know what a Guild Beast Soul was, but Chun Xiang, who had participated in the closed beta, knew it very well. Guild Beast Souls were similar to Guild Treasures. They were items that could enhance the attributes of the guild encampment and the guild players. No one knew exactly what they were, because during the closed beta, the 3 regional servers had only appeared once in the European server. Literally speaking, the ranking of a Guild Beast Soul seemed to be the same as a level B. The stronger the Beast Soul was, the stronger the attribute enhancement would be. During the closed beta, the attributes of a Beast Soul were sought after by many big guilds. However, until the end of the closed beta, there was no second Guild Beast Soul. The guild that owned the Beast Soul never appeared again, as if it had disappeared. Yes, that's how it came about. At that time, No one knew that the guild beast soul and the flower spirit crown were actually one. Hee, a bunch of idiot. Wuji laughed, as if he was enjoying the fun of making fools of others. No wonder it's the European server. You were on a business trip in Switzerland during that period, right? Chun Xiang said. Yes. Wuji nodded and said, I stayed there for half a year. Before I came back, I posted a bunch of attributes, and then I deleted my account. TSK, deleting your account after showing off. That's Wuji's style. Everyone exclaimed. Wuji did not know how the other bosses were captured and domesticated. The Chuanjian people had never seen other beast souls, but the flower spirit crown was undoubtedly very powerful. The upper limit of HP and HP was the player's basic attributes, so naturally, the more the better. What was even more powerful was the ripening effect. It was currently the early stage of the game. Pharmacists were still collecting herbs in the wild, and the herb production system had not matured yet. In the middle stage of the game, the big guilds would plant herb gardens for their own benefit. After all, as the demand for herbs increased, the growth, respawn, of wild herbs would become more and more difficult to meet the demand. The game was different from reality. There was no difference between domesticated herbs and wild herbs. Even if they were ripened and used pesticides, the quality would not be affected. Therefore, the growth speed of the herbs in the herb garden determined the foundation of the guild's supplies. When the time came, a new industry would rise, and that would be the herb farmers, that Li Shui mentioned. Of course, we won't write about farming, so let's not talk about it for now. Other than the ripening effect, the resurrection effect of the flower spirit crown was even more desirable. However, they could only make one flower spirit crown every 10 days. With the small number of people in Chuanjian, it would take at least 3 months for all of them to be equipped with it. If it were other big guilds, they would only be able to equip the first-line players. Moreover, what was even worse was that this thing was a one-time consumable item. Was the 10% experience points really worth the crown of flower demons? This was really a question. Of course, with the nature of the Quanjin sect, if they didn't use it themselves, they would definitely use it to scam others. To be continued. Chapter 558. And SID equals 343291314. All in all, the rewards from snatching the boss this time were not bad, especially when the two old enemies, Dugu Jiuqiang and Fish Watching Under the Water, suffered such a huge loss. This group of bad guys who harmed others without benefiting themselves felt the most satisfied. Fish Watching Under the Water was still alright. They only lost some gold coins. Dugu Jiuqiang's boss was gone, and they still did not know. When Wuji thought of this, he felt extremely happy. Wang Yu did not stay in the game for long. After finishing the daily dungeon, he saw that Mu Zixin had gone offline. Thus, Wang Yu went offline as well. After taking off his helmet, Wang Yu found Mu Zixin in the toilet. It seemed like she had just cried, but when he thought about it, it made sense. Lao Wang's overbearing attitude would have scared anyone else to death. It would be strange if she did not cry after suffering such a huge grievance. Wang Yu was more open-minded. Furthermore, that was his biological father. He thought that this matter would be over. However, this lady was not related to Lao Wang and had suffered such humiliation. Of course, she would feel uncomfortable. When he saw Mu Zixin's expression, Wang Yu felt as if his heart was being tugged at. You went offline. I'm going to cook. When she saw Wang Yu, Mu Zixin wiped her face and said. Wang Yu stretched out his hand and pulled Mu Zixin into his embrace. He patted Mu Zixin's back and said, Wife, I'm sorry. I made you suffer again. The father was his, and the wife was also his. If the father scolded the wife, it was the son who caused her to suffer. Yes. Mu Zixin nodded and bit Wang Yu's arm. Tears flowed down her face. Wang Yu patted Mu Zixin's head and said, Don't cry. Be good. Mu Zixin let go and rubbed Wang Yu's arm that she had bitten. She asked, Idiot, doesn't it hurt? It hurts, but seeing you cry makes my heart hurt even more, Wang Yu said plainly. Ai. Mu Zixuan sighed and said, at that time, I really thought that I would never see you again. Lao Wang's way of doing things was rude and unreasonable, but his words were not without reason. Wang Yu was born to be a male eagle that wanted to soar in the sky. With Mu Zixuan's abilities, she could only raise him to be a little chick that could not grow up. When she thought about how she had turned the person she loved from extraordinary to vulgar, Mu Zixuan really wanted to give up at that time. Stupid, how is that possible? Wang Yu said with a smile. Mu Zixuan asked, are you really willing to live an ordinary life like this? I never wanted to be a hero, Wang Yu said. If it was anyone else, after hearing their own husband's words, they would have been heartbroken. Only Mu Zixuan actually felt a trace of warmth. Because only those who had truly suffered from loss and gain would understand what it meant to repent for one's husband to seek the title of Marquis. If you want to be a hero, will I be a burden to you? Mu Zixuan asked. Wang Yu smiled. Without you, how can I become a hero? Ha ha, you are saying flowery words again. Your friends taught you that, right? Mu Zixuan laughed when she heard this. Wang Yu could not say such words. Yes, Brother Chun said it. Wang Yu nodded his head. What did he say? Mu Zixuan asked curiously. A hero does not become a hero for himself. There are people that he needs to protect and people that he loves. Only then can he become a hero. From this, it can be seen that every husband and every father is a hero. Thus, among the dogs of Chuanjin, only Niu and Chun can be called heroes. Wang Yu imitated Chun Xiang's tone and said, ha ha ha. When she saw that Wang Yu imitated Chun Xiang to perfection, the unhappiness in Mu Zixuan's heart completely disappeared. She pulled Wang Yu's hand and said, let's go. You can go and rest first. I will go and cook. You don't resent me anymore? Wang Yu was speechless at this woman's ever-changing emotions. She was crying just now, and now she was happy. What kind of logic was that? I don't resent you in the first place. I am resenting myself. Mu Zixuan pinched Wang Yu's face and said. The enemy that they were facing today was someone that Wang Yu had fought since he was a child. For Wang Yu to overcome his fear and rush out to protect her at the first moment, and to be able to stand by her side was something that Mu Zixuan did not expect. The biggest reason why Mu Zixuan was crying was because of the fear of losing what she had gained. At the end of the day, it was because she felt hopeless about her powerlessness. If she had the ability, with Mu Zixuan's eloquence, she would not have been rendered speechless by Old Cow's words. Oh right, in 2 months, when the weather is warm, come home with me, Wang Yu said to Mu Zixuan. Home. When Mu Zixuan heard these 2 words, she felt sad. Wang Yu hurriedly said, don't be afraid. My dad won't say anything, and the others are easier to talk to. The main thing is that I am afraid that my mom will be worried. Mu Zixuan was silent. She was also afraid of Wang Yu's mother. No matter how bad old Wang's temper was, he was still a famous person. Since the matter was over with his status, he naturally would not make things difficult for his own daughter-in-law. However, it was uncertain about Wang Yu's mother. Mu Zixuan had accidentally kidnapped someone's son for a year. Mu Zixuan had experienced the feeling of worrying about personal gains and losses. Furthermore, it was her own son that she had lost. The hatred behind this was as deep as the ocean. The relationship between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law was already a dead knot. With this, Mu Zixuan shuddered in fear. Okay, I will listen to you. Mu Zixuan nodded. No matter how much she shuddered in fear, she was still Wang Yu's mother. It was too unreasonable to not let her son see his mother. When he logged on again, it was already the next morning. When Wuji and the others logged on, they were very surprised to see Wang Yu online. Brother Chun, you finally lost for once. Pay up. To place one's pride shouted in the channel. Chun Xiang said gloomily, F***ck, The Nyo family's daughter-in-law has such a good temper. My wife got angry with me and went home for a week. Where are the morals of you youngsters? When Wang Yu heard this, he was speechless. Brother Chun, what do you mean? We made a bet on whether you would come online today. Brother Chun said you wouldn't. Said Bao San. Yesterday, when he saw Wang Yu and Mu Zixin log off at the same time, Chun Xiang knew that something was going on. Therefore, he opened a bet and bet that Wang Yu would not come online for at least 3 days. Although the others did not know what was going on, Chun Xiang had never lost a bet, so they all thought that Wang Yu would not come. F***ck, this wretched scumbag. Wang Yu was furious. That's right. I will condemn him on behalf of Uncle Nyo. To place one's pride jeered. Fine, I won't give you the money. Uncle Nyo, it's not that I want to criticize you. F***ck off. Amidst the laughter and cursing, everyone went online one after another. At this time, a dazzling all-server megaphone flashed on the screen. Little Thief said, I am buying the Atlan key at a high price. Anyone with this item can message me. So it was a purchase message. Rebirth was a very large game. For example, an item could be divided into several parts. It was almost impossible for a player to collect all of them. Therefore, other than on the forum, this kind of information was also very common in the game. Chapter 559. The special effect of the 100 gold loudspeaker was quite insane. The sunlight above everyone's heads was almost covered by the special effect. To place one's pride said in confusion, Atlan key. It sounds so familiar. Duh, isn't it the one you picked up yesterday? Wuji reminded. To place one's pride immediately thought of the key he picked up yesterday and said hurriedly, it really is. I'll contact him now and see how much I can sell it for. Everyone in Chuanjin revealed an envious expression. Most of the items that the entire server wanted to buy were one-of-a-kind items. If someone spent 100 gold to make an announcement, he wouldn't mind increasing the price of the item by several times. To be able to pick up such a treasure so casually, one had to say that to place one's pride's luck must have hit rock bottom. How lucky. If I didn't kill that B***tch, Watcher Fish, yesterday, this key wouldn't have dropped, to place one's pride said happily. Yup. He's really lucky. He didn't buy it earlier or later. Someone bought it right after he saw the Watcher Fish explode, everyone agreed. The speaker didn't mean it, but the listener heard it. After hearing everyone's words, Wuji's heart suddenly shook as if he thought of something. He said to place one's pride, Chick, you can't sell this thing. Why? To place one's pride asked in confusion. After playing the game for so long, to place one's pride's luck had always been bad. He always followed the trend to get rich. Now that he finally had a windfall, Wuji didn't allow him to sell it. The little friend was still a little angry. Don't you think it's strange? This thing doesn't even have an item introduction, but Watcher Fish carries it around like a treasure. After he lost it, someone bought it the next day, Wuji said. It's just a coincidence. Can't other people trigger a quest that requires an item? When the others heard Wuji's words, they also noticed a subtle relationship. However, these were all speculations. What if it was really a coincidence? How can there be such a coincidence in this world? Since the underwater fish watcher can carry it with him, he must know the use of this item. Why didn't he trigger the quest? Wuji sneered. After listening to Wuji's explanation, everyone somewhat understood. Watching fish underwater was no noob. He had a top-tier expert like Flowing Cloud by his side. If even he did not have the ability to trigger the quest, then in the entire gaming circle, only the professional teams of large guilds could trigger the quest. How could things be so coincidental? Let me add that little thief first. As he spoke, Wuji casually added the little thief as a friend. Before Wuji could say anything, little thief sent a message. Name your price. Wuji was stunned. This little thief was really impatient. He didn't even say anything, yet he asked for a price. Wasn't it obvious that he knew that Wuji had the Atlanta key? Wuji asked suspiciously, "What price?" Little thief clearly knew that he had lost his composure. He immediately said, "Didn't you add me after seeing my announcement?" "Oh yes, I don't have the key. However, we are a professional team and can help you complete the quest. Please consider it if you need it," Wuji replied. After a while, the thief replied, "I don't need it." "Then can I ask what the Atlanta key is used for?" Wuji asked. No comment. The little thief coldly threw down this sentence. Wuji sent another message, but it indicated that he had been blacklisted. See that? It's obvious that this person is the underwater fish watcher, Wuji said after sending the chat record to the guild channel. "I don't understand." To place one's pride shook his head. "He actually blocked me. It must be because underwater fish watcher is afraid of my intelligence. He's afraid that I'll steal the secret of the Atlanta key," Wuji said shamelessly. "Idiot, get lost." Everyone had no resistance to Wuji's shamelessness and scolded him. "Haha." Wuji laughed and said, "Actually, that little thief is only level 10. He's a smurf through and through. Isn't that obvious enough?" After the open beta, players would basically reach level 10 after completing the guide quest. At level 10, they would meet the requirements to enter the main city and leave the beginner's village. Although leveling up later on was very slow, if it was an old account, it would obviously not be level 10. Therefore, this little thief's ID should be a new account. Yesterday, Chuanjin dropped the key to Underwater Fish Watcher, and today, a new level 10 account came to collect it. It was obvious that there was something fishy going on. The grudge between Chuanjin and Underwater Fish Watcher was so deep. If Underwater Fish Watcher was dropped, he definitely wouldn't personally ask Chuanjin for the key. *CK This old fox. After understanding the goal of Underwater Fish Watcher, to place one's pride knew that he had been happy for nothing and cursed angrily. "Should we let him pay first and then blacklist him after we receive the money?" Mingdu rubbed his chin and mumbled. Mingdu is really quick-witted." Wuji first praised Mingdu and then said, "Let's not talk about the fact that he can use the system as a witness. Even without the system as a witness, how stupid do you think Underwater Fish Watcher's IQ is for him to fall for your trick? If that's the case, then wouldn't we become swindlers like him?" Mingdu was speechless. In the game, malicious PK and gathering support from the boss were both ways of playing. It couldn't be said that anyone had low moral standards, but swindlers and account thieves were definitely a big, hateful tumor. They were unforgivable existences in the game. The improvement in technology allowed Rebirth to get rid of account thieves, but the high degree of freedom in the game allowed swindlers to flourish. Mingdu's swindling skills were the worst on the street. He probably couldn't even trick a noob, let alone a big swindler like Underwater Fish Watcher. Although Chuanjin and the others were usually fierce and unruly, they spoke with their own abilities. They believed in their fists. Naturally, they wouldn't hesitate to associate themselves with swindlers. *CK I can't use this chance to trick that piece of trash. I'm so angry. Mingdu yelled gloomily. The oldest members of the Chuanjin sect were basically mortal enemies with the fish watcher in the water. When they were at peace, they would always try to trip each other up. Now that they had something on the other party, they couldn't take the opportunity to kill the other party. That feeling was rather unpleasant. Wuji said with a smile, "Why don't we have a chance? We can just not give it to him." Just not give it to him? I feel like he won't suffer any substantial losses. Mingdu clenched his fists. There is. At the very least, this key is very important to Underwater Fish Watcher. Wuji said, being able to spend 100 gold to buy it in the World Channel is enough to prove that Underwater Fish Watcher is willing to pay any price for this key. How can he not suffer any substantial losses if we don't give it to him? Ugh! Mingdu scratched his head. Wang Yu said, we can use this key too, right? Yes, an unknown item can be triggered as long as the conditions are met. Wuji said. Chapter 560. An item that the underwater fish watcher was in such a hurry to buy at such a high price must be a rare item. Rather than wasting it, it was better to use it for themselves. Firstly, they could get a handsome reward. Secondly, they could make the underwater fish watcher completely give up. There was a saying that there was nothing sadder than a dead heart. Making the underwater fish watcher despair was much more damaging than holding the key and not giving it to the underwater fish watcher. Thinking of this, the Quanzhen people looked at Wang Yu in surprise and sighed. Iron Ox, you've changed. Wang Yu was such a pure and good child in the past. Now, he was actually full of evil tricks. The Quanzhen people weren't afraid that Wang Yu would be assimilated. It was just that Wang Yu was already invincible. If he became even more sinister, they wouldn't be able to live with him. I just don't think we should waste it, Wang Yu said with certainty. Really? Everyone was skeptical. Really? Wang Yu's expression didn't change. Tisk. Everyone was disdainful. The underwater fish watcher used all kinds of methods to defame Wang Yu. Everyone knew that Wang Yu's skills were invincible, but his mouth was basically useless. The reason Wang Yu did this to the underwater fish watcher was that he didn't want to waste it. Naturally, no one would believe him if he said it. However, Wang Yu's suggestion was extremely good. To the many people from Chuanzhen's sect who hated the peeping fish underwater to the bone, doing so would indeed be able to trap the peeping fish underwater and also benefit themselves. It was killing two birds with one stone, so why not? Speaking of which, who knows how to use this key? To place one's pride, asked everyone while holding the key. To place one's pride, everyone quietened down. The Atlan key was an item with unknown functions and didn't have an item description. It was so simple that it couldn't even compare to the materials dropped by small monsters. There was no way they could use it. Wuji said, there must be a clue. Otherwise, the underwater fish watcher wouldn't know the use of this thing. You have a way? No, let me think. Scram. Meow, wasn't he just spouting nonsense? Just when everyone was at their wits' end, Wang Yu asked Mu Zixin in the guild channel, Wife, have you heard of the Atlan key? Everyone knew that Mu Zixin had been a GM before. At this moment, when they saw Wang Yu move the killing weapon, they hurriedly stopped spamming. After a while, Mu Zixin replied, Who is Atlan? Never heard of it. Mu Zixin was a customer service agent, so she only had a basic memory of what had happened. Most of the unknown items in the game were encrypted, so she had no right to know. Hearing this, everyone was speechless. Their expectations turned into disappointment. So, even the GM didn't know about it. This was not good. When Mu Zixin saw everyone spamming the ellipses on the public chat, she understood their disappointment. Hence, she continued, although I don't know what it is, you can only trigger an unknown item by asking an intelligent NPC. An intelligent NPC? When everyone heard this, they all started to look at Wang Yu. An intelligent NPC was not an ordinary NPC that could be found on the street. Only players who completed many high-level quests would have a chance to get to know them. In Chuanzhen, Wang Yu completed the most high-level quests. When it came to intelligent NPC, everyone immediately thought of Wang Yu. Alright, chick, give me the key. I'll go ask around, Wang Yu said straightforwardly. Nyoji's heroic spirit. Everyone gasped in admiration. It couldn't be helped. An intelligent NPC was a machine created by the designer to cheat money. When Wang Yu said this, his attitude was no less than, you guys go, I'll pay the bill. On the other side, in the Thunderstorm City Tavern, underwater fish and a smurf wearing a novice uniform were hiding in a corner and whispering. If someone cast a detection spell on the novice uniform smurf, they would discover that this shabbily dressed fellow was the petty thief who had just thrown 100 gold in the public chat. "How's cousin? Did those guys contact you again?" Underwater Watcher asked softly. As the Atlan key was too precious, Underwater Fish was especially careful. Not only did he not tell the people from the Unity Alliance, even Nien Luyun did not tell him in detail. Even when he found someone to collect the key, he found someone in real life. "It's that Wuji contacted me. Didn't you ask me to blacklist him? Speaking of which, why did you ask me to blacklist him? Didn't you say that the key was on him?" The petty thief said impatiently. Underwater Fish said, "You don't know that person. He can lead others by the nose at any time. I'm afraid that you'll be at a disadvantage." "Don't worry about being at a disadvantage. Let me tell you, I finally leveled up to level 10 yesterday. I've been skipping work for more than an hour now. If I continue playing, I'll be fired," the petty thief said anxiously. Don't worry. I'll give you 10,000 when I receive the key." Underwater Fish comforted the petty thief. The petty thief said in surprise, 10,000? How are you so rich? Don't tell me you've done something bad again. Although the price of goods had risen, 10,000 yuan was not a small sum for office workers like Little Thief. "Look at what you're saying." Underwater Fish said, "Playing games is much more profitable than working. That megaphone you just sent is worth 10,000. "What?" The petty thief was so shocked that he almost jumped out of his chair. His heart was full of heartache. 10,000 for that little bit of text. Damn, how much does one word cost? Seeing the petty thief counting with his fingers, Underwater Fish said, "That's just a small amount of money. The value of that key is worth at least 100 megaphone. Brother, you're not going to lie to me too, are you?" The petty thief was completely shocked. "What do you have to lie to me? The most important thing now is to get that key back. Damn it." Underwater Fish was filled with anger when he thought of the key being dropped. "But they're already ignoring us. Do you think they've noticed that you're collecting it?" the petty thief asked. "This." Underwater Fish rubbed his chin and said, "The others are easy to deal with, but that Wuji isn't easy to fool. It's not impossible that they've noticed. Since they've noticed, they definitely won't give it to you." "That's not necessarily true. As long as you give them enough money, they'll return it. What if they use it for themselves?" the petty thief said. "For themselves?" Underwater Fish's heart skipped a beat. If it was before, and the petty thief said that Chuanjin and the others took the key for themselves, Underwater Fish might have been suspicious. After all, the Atlan key was a location item. Only an NPC would know the specific clues. However, Chuanjin even knew how to catch the flower demons. Finding the Atlan key shouldn't be difficult. Thinking of this, Underwater Fish panicked. "What you said makes sense. I won't take the key for now. You go back to work. I'll go do something else." Thinking of this, Underwater Fish said to the petty thief. Little Thief nodded and went offline. Watching Fish underwater opened his friends list and typed in an ID. To be continued. Chapter 561. When Wang Yu took the key from To Place One's Pride, the first person he looked for was definitely Hermit. This old man's character was terrible, but as the hero class mentor in the background story, he was considered knowledgeable. When they came to the alley, Wang Yu took the key and asked directly, "Teacher, do you know what this is?" Old man Hermit didn't answer. He picked up a brick from the side and asked Wang Yu, "Do you know what this is?" "I don't know." Wang Yu shook his head and said, "But it looks like stone." The hermit nodded and said, "Then I can only tell you that that thing of yours seems to be made of metal. F***ck? Wang Yu broke down. This old man had learned to tease people. If he didn't know, he could just say he didn't know. Why did he have to do this? Seeing Wang Yu's unhappy face, Hermit was even more dissatisfied. He muttered, "I'm not an encyclopedia. Don't ask me everything you find, okay? I'm very busy." Wang Yu was rebuked by Hermit, and he swallowed all the complaints in his mouth. This thing is called the Atlan key. You are knowledgeable. Have you heard of this person? Wang Yu asked respectfully. Atlan. Hermit's expression became serious. Wang Yu saw Hermit's expression and knew there was hope. He quickly asked, Have you heard of him? I just find it familiar, but I've never heard of this person. Hermit's answer made Wang Yu very disappointed. You should ask someone else, said Hermit. Wang Yu said gloomily, Ask who? You're the only one I know who knows a lot. Ha! Hermit laughed and said, There are many people who are more knowledgeable than me. You naturally have to find someone who is well-read for this kind of question. He will give you the answer. Well-read? Who? Wang Yu asked again. Hermit drove Wang Yu away impatiently and said, If I tell you everything, what am I doing here? Hurry up and leave. Wang Yu took out his wallet and said, I can give you money. Not even with money. Hurry up and leave. Hermit's attitude was very decisive. Wang Yu was helpless. From the looks of it, this key was related to something very precious. Even old man Hermit could only indirectly remind her and not mention it openly. But who was the most well-read person in Yu Huiqing? Wang Yu threw this question into the guild channel, and everyone was confused. It can't be Mage Mentor Claire, right? She's holding a magic book every day. She doesn't look ordinary, Mingdo said. Tch. Chun Xiang said in disdain. Prophet Garen looks even more like an immortal. The cardinal also seems to be a very well-read person. Wuji raised a different opinion. The others didn't say anything. Their mentors were all wielding swords and spears. They looked a lot less impressive. However, from the arrogance of Wuji and the other two, it was clear that they weren't trying to find out who was more well-read. Instead, they were trying to use their high-status teachers to suppress the others. Finally, Wang Yu's words shut the three of them up. Are the three people you're talking about intelligent NPCs? About that. The three immediately became listless. Class mentors were high-level NPCs and had a certain level of intelligence, but compared to Hermit, who was no different from a real person, there was still a certain gap. Then who do you think it is? Everyone asked Wang Yu. I don't know either. Let's split up and look. There are only a few intelligent NPCs in Yu Huiqing. If we really can't do it, we can ask them one by one. Wang Yu said. Okay, even though this method is a bit old-fashioned, it's effective. Everyone expressed a high degree of support for Wang Yu's plan. Just as Wang Yu was planning to take a stroll around the city lord's residence, a line of red words suddenly appeared on Wang Yu's screen. Warning. Your account has been reported on a large scale. Within 5 minutes, your character will be forced to undergo a full inspection. If this affects your gaming experience, please forgive us. Once again, please stay away from cheats and create a good gaming environment. Seeing this message, Wang Yu was stunned. Reported on a large scale? Perform a full inspection? What kind of joke was this? Was this a scammer's new trick? After hanging out with the people in Chuanjin for a long time, Wang Yu had some understanding of the scams in the game. For example, using the name of the system to send messages to the players. These were all ancient scams. However, after Wang Yu checked this message more than 10 times, he didn't find any flaws. This message was sent by the system. I've been reported. The system wants to check my account. Wang Yu immediately sent this message in the channel. F***CK, what's wrong with you? Everyone asked in shock when they heard this. It seems like someone has reported me on a large scale for using cheats. Wang Yu forwarded the system's message to the channel. After a full half a minute, the people in Chuanjin mumbled, This can't be true, right? In the past, no one thought much about it. Now that they saw the system's message and thought about it carefully, Wang Yu's strength definitely far exceeded everyone's understanding. Even though everyone knew that Wang Yu practiced martial arts, they didn't dare to believe that the difference between people could be so obvious. However, Wang Yu was their friend, and the people in Chuanjin didn't put Wang Yu on the opposite side, so they didn't think too much about it. Now that everyone recalled Wang Yu's strength, compared to the explanation of practicing martial arts, the explanation of using cheats was obviously more adequate. Nonsense, I don't even know what a cheat is, Wang Yu said gloomily. This was his first time playing a game, and the system accused him of using cheat. This was too ridiculous, Mingdu said doubtfully. Then why didn't the system look for us? Wang Yu said helplessly, Brother, do you really want me to say this and hurt your pride? Everyone was silent. The official system wasn't stupid. It didn't say that it would investigate whoever was reported. Otherwise, those esports stars would have a sea of anti-fans. Wouldn't the professional circle be in danger? Why did they only look for Wang Yu? It was obvious that Wang Yu was so strong that even the game designers felt it was unreasonable. That was why they informed Wang Yu to cooperate with the investigation. Strong to the point of almost using cheats, this was the kind of person they were talking about, okay? The people in Chuanjin had tears streaming down their faces. Damn, he was clearly reported, but I feel like he's gaining face again. Just as everyone was lamenting, the scene of Wang Yu's character changed, and he was pulled into a scene that looked like a game inspection platform. A group of strangely dressed people appeared in front of Wang Yu. A young man beside Wang Yu said to the computer in front of him, Information extraction successful. The inspection target has been transferred to the inspection platform. A voice came from beside Wang Yu. Data extraction successful. The inspection target has entered inspection mode. Chapter 562. Hello, Player Iron Ox. This is Rebirth's North China District Monitoring Team Number 7. I'm GM 9527. Your account has entered the monitoring state. Adhering to the principle of fairness and openness, you have the right to witness the results of your account's data monitoring. This scene has entered the video recording state. According to the Chinese people's law, this video has legal effect. Wang Yu was confused by GM 9527's call. After being stunned for a long time, Wang Yu asked, Can you explain it clearly? This. GM 9527 almost choked on Wang Yu's word. He hurriedly explained, What it means is that we are now observing your data to see if there are any abnormalities. This video has legal effect. Then let's start the monitoring, Wang Yu said indifferently. He was not afraid of a crooked shadow. He did not cheat, so of course he was not afraid of any abnormalities in the system. Okay. Please be mentally prepared. According to the basic network law, your behavior is considered to be willfully changing the game's data. You will have to bear legal responsibility. We have the right to appeal against you, GM 9527 said. Wang Yu was unhappy when he heard this. He said with a straight face, I don't understand what you're saying. I'm just playing the game obediently. What do you mean by changing the game's data? I don't understand at all. GM 9527 laughed coldly and said, You don't have the final say on this. Our mainframe has the final say. Based on the large amount of data reported by the players, you have a lot of data that does not conform to common sense since the beginning of the beginner's village. Therefore, we will conduct a comprehensive monitoring from the day you opened your account. Oh. Wang Yu nodded and said, What will happen if it's detected that I've used a cheat? Follow the legal process, GM 9527 said. Then what if I didn't use a cheat? Wang Yu asked again. Compensation will be given according to the circumstances. Double standard? That's too evil, Wang Yu said in shock. If they found out, they would have to go through the legal process. If they couldn't, they would just give some random things to get rid of. It seemed that the NPCs in Rebirth were not shameless without a reason. The final right of explanation belongs to our gaming company, GM 9527 said with a smile. Hopefully, we won't meet again in court. Wang Yu said impatiently, Cut the crap. Hurry up and do the test. I still have something to do. Wang Yu could not bring himself to like 9,527 at all. Although the guy spoke in a bureaucratic tone, there were only 3 words in his tone. You're cheating. Alright. Wait a moment. After saying that, 9527 walked to the side and said to the staff next to him, Okay, start the comprehensive test. It can't be, President Hao. A comprehensive inspection is a lot of work. Hearing 9527's words, the staff began to complain. A comprehensive analysis would have to be done from the start of the game's server. There were hundreds of millions of players in Rebirth, and the amount of data was unimaginable. The amount of data that was updated every day was not something that could be reported in a few sentences. Even the mainframe would need some time to find the data from the start of the game. 9527 said, Humph, this player's attitude pisses me off. He's clearly cheating to disrupt the order, but he's still acting like a dead pig that's not afraid of boiling water. Does he really think that our gaming company can't do anything to him? Today, I'm going to convince him. President Hao, you don't know this, but we've investigated Iron Ox's data before. It's completely normal. The reason he's ridiculously strong is that he's learning Kung Fu, the inspector, Xiao Zhang, quickly said. Learning Kung Fu? Don't talk nonsense. Why don't you say he's a cultivator? Don't read novels during office hours. 9527 said angrily. In today's era, Kung Fu and immortal cultivation only existed on television and in novels. Telling one's superior that someone was learning Kung Fu was like saying that someone had reached XX realm in immortal cultivation. It was suicidal. Although the game designers of Rebirth also knew a few moves, if that was called Kung Fu, the word Kung Fu would not have fallen to such a state. Seeing 9527's anger, everyone tactfully shut their mouths and began to look for information. Fortunately, because the monitoring team had paid attention to the differences in Wang Yu's account many times, Wang Yu's information was specially divided into sections. After some effort, they quickly found it. Is this it? 9527 asked as he looked at the information the monitoring team's staff had pulled out. Yes, Xiao Zhang said. From the start of the server until now, all the information of this player is here. Okay, I want to test it myself. As he said that, 9527's hand began to tap on the keyboard. On the screen in front of Wang Yu, groups of green data began to flash. At the same time, the screen wall in the scene began to scroll through Wang Yu's battle videos since the start of the server. Silvermoon Wolf King, Erdis, Blood Alliance. Scenes rolled by and groups of data flew by. The expression on 9527's face became more and more solemn, and sweat flowed down his forehead. How is this possible? 9527 looked at the data on the computer, incredulity written all over his face. She had killed an elite boss that was 25 levels higher than her. Moreover, she had done it more than once. In fact, she had killed the boss multiple times without taking any damage. Not to mention ordinary players, even GMs would not be able to accomplish such a feat. However, the test results told 9527 that Wang Yu's data was completely normal. Impossible. How can he kill a boss with normal damage? 9527 turned on the data test in horror to see if the data was normal. In the end, the data test system told 9527, everything is normal. There is no data overflow. Could it be that he used a cheat and adjusted the damage to the limit, so that the data does not overflow and the maximum damage can be caused? What a terrifying hacker! Thinking of this, 9527 quickly turned on the external data test. There is no third-party program. The data test results once again left 9527 speechless. Could it be that this person's hacking skills have reached such a level? 9527 said in disbelief. Rebirth was the world's most advanced holographic mode. Whether it was the anti-cheat system or the anti-hacking system, it was the best in the industry. However, against the person in front of it, all means were useless, causing a sense of despair to emerge in 9527's heart. Although it was unwilling, after thinking for a long time, 9527 still walked up to Wang Yu and said, "Mr. Iron Ox, I'm sincerely convinced by your methods. You flatter me." Wang Yu nodded humbly. "Can you tell me how you did your cheat without our system noticing?" "Don't worry, the recording device has been turned off," 9527 said. "Cheat?" Wang Yu smiled faintly. "This is not a cheat. This is called Kung Fu." Chapter 563. Mr. Iron Ox, I'm not joking with you. I quite appreciate your computer skills, and I sincerely invite you to join us. We can sit down and talk about the remuneration slowly, 9527 said sincerely. Obviously, based on Wang Yu's current data, all of his kill records were extremely strange. As the world's first holographic simulation game, the talents and testing equipment in the research and development department were absolutely top-notch. However, 9527 still could not find the slightest problem with Wang Yu's account, which shocked 9527 greatly. To be able to avoid such strict data monitoring and cheat, this person's hacking skills were simply beyond imagination. It would be too much of a loss to use such high-level skills in games. If he could be roped in, whether it was for the game or the development of technology, it would be limitless. Listening to 9527's tone, Wang Yu could also tell that the guy really thought of him as a hacker, so he said, not knowing whether to laugh or cry, "It's really Kung Fu. I'm not even familiar with the computer. What hacker are you talking about? You think too highly of me. If you agree, our company can give you some shares at the highest price. It will definitely make more money than you playing games." 9527 made a big offer, which made everyone in the monitoring team envious. Shares were a treatment that only the two chief designers in the entire company had. "Stop it, I'm going back." Seeing that he and 9527 were not on the same wavelength, Wang Yu simply wanted to leave. 9527 did not try to persuade him to stay, but still said sincerely, "I hope you can consider it. Our technology is also being innovated, and the plug-in loopholes will soon be filled. With your ability, you should not be limited to this." "Screw you." Wang Yu was depressed. "If you can fill the loopholes, then. I'm not using a cheat anyway." Wang Yu did not want to talk nonsense with 9527 anymore, so he asked the others, "Who can send me back?" Xiao Zhang glanced at 9527, and after agreeing, he said, "Please wait a moment, I'll send you back now." At this time Wang Yu suddenly thought of something and asked 9527, "What were the results of the test just now?" 9527's expression changed, and he stammered, "The data is normal." But 9527 still wanted to talk nonsense, but Wang Yu quickly interrupted and said, "Since the data is normal, then there's no problem. Didn't you say there will be compensation? What compensation?" This. 9527 did not know how to answer for a while. Xiao Zhang said, "According to the practice, you have to give an item or equipment that can be used at this stage as compensation." "Oh, I see." Wang Yu touched his chin and asked, "I don't lack equipment now. Can I get something else?" "It's not impossible. I just don't know what you want," Xiao Zhang said. There was a limit to the GM's ability to gift props. High-level props and quests all had special conditions to trigger, so they could not be given out casually. "I want to ask you something. As long as it doesn't involve high-level hidden missions or items, a clue reward is fine too." Xiao Zhang was relieved. He thought that Wang Yu wanted the artifact god. Who should I look for to trigger the plot of the key to Atlantis? Xiao Zhang said decisively. I'm sorry, this is a high-level hidden scenario. Neither you nor I have the right to know. You can still ask other questions. Meow, this guy really dared to ask such a high-level clue. Not to mention the fact that the GMs of the monitoring team only knew a little about this. Even if they knew the detailed process, they would probably lose their jobs if they dared to leak even half a word. Other questions? Wang Yu scratched his head and said, Who is the most knowledgeable person in Yuhuiqing? F***ck. Xiao Zhang felt a chill down his spine. Wasn't this the same question? Mr. Iron Ox's question is very reasonable. Xiao Zhang was about to refuse when 9527 suddenly interrupted. Director Hao. Xiao Zhang looked at 9527 in disbelief, as if he was dreaming. 9527 said, The key to Atlantis is a high-level hidden mission, but Yu Huiqing is the most knowledgeable NPC, so it's not confidential. Is there a problem with what I said? No, there's no problem, but… Since there's no problem, Mr. Iron Ox should get an answer, 9527 said. Alright. Xiao Zhang responded and said to Wang Yu, The NPC's coordinates and name have been sent to you through private messages. You'll receive them when you return to the game. Is there anything else I can help you with? Send me back, Wang Yu said with a smile. Alright. After Xiao Zhang's hands typed a few times on the keyboard, Wang Yu's silhouette disappeared from the monitoring room. Seeing that Wang Yu had disappeared, 9527's expression became solemn. It then said, Past data is archive data, so there will be loopholes and deviations. Now we will monitor him in real time. Got it. Everyone in the monitoring group replied in unison, their spirits lifted. At the same time, in Yu Huiqing's tavern, the Chuanjian team looked very grim. Mingdu rubbed a goblet and said, Damn, old cow hasn't come back after so long. Did he really do something wrong? Hearing Mingdu say this, the others' expressions became even more gloomy. If Wang Yu had really used a cheat, the people in Chuanjian would benefit the most from it, and they might also be implicated. Of course, everyone was most worried about Wang Yu. After all, Wang Yu was the main culprit. The others would at most play another game, but Wang Yu's life would be over. Longting Group was a big company, and they could sue him to death for causing trouble in their representative game. Yang Na picked up a wine glass and threw it over, scolding, Don't talk nonsense. Don't others know that you haven't seen it? Is that a cheat? He has practiced martial arts for decades since he was a child to have this ability. How did it become a cheat? I'm just worried about him. I'm not suspecting him. Why are you so anxious? Are you trying to stir up trouble? Mingdu was also in a mess at this time. Having been splashed with wine, he was immediately furious. He took out his staff and rolled up his sleeves, ready to fight with Yang Na. Damn, what are you two arguing about? Seeing this, the others hurriedly held the two down. Wuji tried to smooth things over. Old Li is right. We are just worried. We can't do anything about it even if we quarrel. Let's think about how to explain to his wife. Explain what? At this time, Wang Yu appeared on the table in the tavern out of thin air. It's Uncle Nyo. Seeing Wang Yu suddenly appear, To Place One's Pride shouted excitedly. Old cow? Are you alright? The others were also surprised and happy to see him. Good boy. Wang Yu nodded at To Place One's Pride. He then turned to look at Yang Na, Mingdu, and Wuji's tense expressions and asked, I'm fine. What's wrong with you guys? Have you found the most knowledgeable NPC yet? When everyone saw that Wang Yu had returned unscathed, they were in a good mood. However, Chuanjian's group was stubborn. No matter how worried they had been about Wang Yu, they would not say it out loud. Now they all pretended that nothing had happened and said, Find my ass. We've looked everywhere, but there's not a single NPC. Those two idiots are so angry that they're about to start fighting. Chapter 564. If they had not seen it with their own eyes, probably no one would have known that Yu Huiqing's most knowledgeable NPC was actually a non-intelligent NPC. Moreover, the location of this NPC was also very familiar to everyone: the library. In the far corner of the library, there was a skinny guy wearing glasses. He was holding a book that was heavier than his body in his hand. This guy's name was also very simple and crude: librarian. F***ck. How the F***ck is that possible? Old cow, don't tell me you've been fooled, Wuji said somewhat incredulously. Yu Huiqing had a sea of powerful NPCs, but no one would have thought that the person he was looking for would actually be like this. Just from the name alone, one could tell that this was an NPC that could be mass-produced, just like the system guards, the kind of NPC that every main city had. I don't think so. He's the GM. Wang Yu's words were also not very confident. After all, exploration missions were generally opened by intelligent NPCs, and such a high-level exploration mission like Atlan needed to be opened by a non-intelligent NPC. This was too unreasonable. Wang Yu also understood why 9527 said that there was nothing wrong with his second question. A mere functional NPC was just like asking the GM where to buy weapons. This was a question that had to be answered. Spring Xiang said, "Don't underestimate the librarian. Old Taoist, the Shaolin Temple's divine sweeping monk all do this, and even the current emperor, F***ck, shut up." Everyone was shocked. Why don't we just ask and find out? To place one's pride looked at everyone contemptuously, then walked over to ask the librarian, "May I ask if you know the key to Atlan?" The question depends on the value. The starting price is 100 gold coins. Answering this question will cost you 100 gold coins. To place one's pride finished asking, the librarian threw out such a sentence with a smile, shocking everyone present. The non-intelligent NPC's way of scamming people was indeed unusually simple and crude. They all clearly marked the price, and it was so F***king expensive, 100 gold coins. Most players in the game now only had this amount of money. It couldn't be helped. Intelligent NPCs could still bargain and reason with them, but functional NPCs were just machines. There was no point in trying to reason with them. To place one's pride looked at Wang Yu and Wuji, then took out 100 gold coins and handed them over with trembling hands. "Got it." The librarian took the gold coin and said calmly. To place one's pride opened his mouth, waiting for the administrator to continue. However, the administrator ignored to place one's pride after saying, "I know." F***ck, that's all? To place one's pride was furious. To answer this question, you'll have to pay 100 gold coins, the administrator said after glancing at to place one's pride. **T. To place one's pride was on the verge of collapsing. This damned system was too cheap, giving him such an answer with just 100 gold coins. "Are you stupid?" Ask again. Everyone pointed at to place one's pride and scolded. This idiot, still getting scammed after playing the game for so long. What a disgrace. To place one's pride shook his head in pain, then took out another 100 gold coins and said, "Can you tell me the secret of the Atlan key?" The administrator took the 100 gold coins and answered even more curtly than before, "Yes. I." To place one's pride was instantly enraged. He punched the administrator's head. A circle of blue light flashed, but the administrator didn't move an inch. To place one's pride was sent flying. Yu Huiqing's honor -20. I don't believe it. To place one's pride crawled up and wanted to continue asking, but Wang Yu grabbed him by the collar and threw him to the side. Wuji walked over and said, "Tell me everything you know about the Atlan key." The administrator glanced at Wuji and said calmly, "Answer this question, and you will have to pay 1,000 gold coins." Why don't you just rob someone? To place one's pride jumped up and scolded. Competing with a machine, this kid was really too much. The administrator looked at To place one's pride and said, answer this question, and you will have to pay 100 gold coins. To place one's pride was completely speechless. Wuji ignored To place one's pride, then took out 1,000 gold coins and handed it to the administrator. The administrator took the gold coins and said very cooperatively, the Atlantic continent is an ancient ruin. Before the Dark Invasion, the Atlantic continent's civil war broke out. It was located northwest of the Lawrence mountain range, and was buried forever by the Netherworld Sea. It was still a very short answer, but it had a lot more information than To place one's pride's 3 words. First of all, Atlan was not a person's name, but a place. No wonder so many NPCs said that they had never heard of Atlan. Secondly, the address of Atlan was northwest of the Lawrence mountain range. The Lawrence mountain range was the most famous mountain range in the background story of Rebirth. This mountain range directly separated the Light faction and the Dark faction. The famous Ironrock Fortress was carved out of this mountain range. However, no one had heard of the Netherworld Sea. In the known map of Rebirth, there was no such place recorded. Where is the Netherworld Sea? Wuji turned around and asked the administrator. This time, the administrator did not ask for money. Instead, he shook his head and said, beyond the scope of your answer. Well, it seemed like the administrator of the library could not be used as a strategy machine. There were some high-end things that the administrator would not say even if you paid money. This was reasonable. There were administrators in every main city. If everyone knew about the existence of the administrator, there would be a strategy for everything. Wouldn't the playability of the game be greatly reduced? Swindling money was fine, but swindling players was not enough to keep them. The designer stocks of Longton Corporation were indeed very cunning. Since the administrator did not say, he could only look for it himself. Wuji spent a lot of money to buy the most complete version of the world map from the administrator. A map in the real world might not be worth much, but in the game there were no satellites or anything. The value of a map was extremely high. Only a group of people like Chuanjin, who did not lack money, could spend money so calmly. There were 2 keywords in the message given by the administrator: the Lawrence mountain range and the Netherworld Sea. In short, there were mountains and water. As long as he could find the sea near the Lawrence mountain range, it would be fine. However, when Wuji searched along the Lawrence mountain range, he did not even see a lake. This was embarrassing. This is impossible. Could it be the movement of the Earth's crust? Wuji rubbed his chin and thought. Don't talk nonsense. The Lawrence mountain range has not changed for tens of thousands of years. Even if there is a movement of the Earth's crust in this world, it is very slight. The Netherworld Sea is so big, how could it disappear? Chun Xiang said with contempt. Let me see. Wang Yu was a little unfamiliar with the topic of the two's discussion, so he asked Wuji for the map. Don't ruin it, Lao Gue. Wuji carefully handed the map to Wang Yu and continued to discuss the movement of the Earth's crust with Chun Xiang. Wang Yu looked along the Lawrence mountain range for a while, then suddenly pointed to a main city and said, Is this place the Netherworld Sea that we are looking for? Chapter 565. Where? When Wuji and Chun Xiang heard Wang Yu's voice, they immediately stopped their discussion and craned their necks over. This one, the Undead Swamp, Wang Yu said as he pointed at the main city on the map. The main cities in Rebirth had different shapes and sizes. Most of them were named after the terrain, and their names were very simple. The Undead Swamp sounded like a leveling area, but it was actually a rather famous main city. It wasn't the only main city named after a swamp. The Tranquil Dream Swamp was located at the edge of the Elf City. The Undead Swamp? That's a far cry from the sea. Chun Xiang said as he looked at the place that Wang Yu was pointing at. A swamp and a sea were 2 different concepts. As a strict hydraulic engineer, Chun Xiang would never allow the two terrains to be lumped together. There are some differences between a swamp and a sea, but are you sure that the Nether Sea is a sea? Wang Yu asked. This. Chun Xiang was stunned. Based on Rebirth's unconventional behavior, the chances of the Nether Sea being a sea were not high. But how can you be sure that this is the Nether Sea? Chun Xiang asked. Because this is the only main city around this mountain range that has water. Wang Yu's answer made Chun Xiang want to vomit blood. Your imagination. Chun Xiang was about to criticize Wang Yu when Wuji, who had been staring at the map, suddenly said, I think that old cow is right. You also think that it's because of the water? Chun Xiang said in disbelief. Compared to Wang Yu's wild guesses, Wuji always liked to speak with evidence. Not only is there water, didn't you see that this main city is called the Undead Swamp? Wuji said. When the others heard Wuji's explanation, they instantly understood. So that's how it is. The literal translation of the Nether Sea was the Sea of Death, and the undead represented death. If it was just water, it naturally wouldn't be able to convince others, but what if the undead were added? It couldn't be such a coincidence, right? From this, it could be seen that the so-called Netherworld Sea was just a word game played by the system. TSK, old cow can do it. There's no time to lose, let's hurry over. Seeing that they had found the location of the Netherworld Sea, everyone rubbed their fists and shouted. In Rebirth, the best items were either obtained from S-rank quests or from exploring high-level wild ruins and hidden dungeons. It was very difficult to obtain anything good from storyline dungeons and wild monsters in leveling areas. Just a single clue in this so-called Atlantis was worth 1,000 gold coins. The value of the treasures within was self-evident. We can't go there directly. The Swamp of Dead Spirits belongs to the Dark Church's territory, and there are no direct airships. We need to go to the nearest main city, Wuji said. Before the players became free citizens, the airship could fly to the various main cities. However, after the players joined the camp, there was a clear division of power. The players of the Light Parliament could not board the airship heading to the Dark Church's territory. Not only that, as two opposing camps, it was a tradition to fight whenever they met. Hence, even if they could fly directly, the players of the opposing camp would not have a good ending once they alighted from the airship. These were the basic settings of the game, and everyone had some understanding of it. Hearing Wuji's words, they immediately asked, which is the nearest main city? Thunder City, Wuji said calmly as he pointed at the map. Thunder City? Not the underwater fish city? Mingdu shouted. Wuji nodded and said, that's right. After passing through the Iron Rock Fort, we will reach the main city of the Swamp of Dead Spirit. Oh, the underwater fish city wouldn't send someone to stop us, would it? To place one's pride said with a frown. So be it. If he dares to come, we will kill him a few more times. Wang Yu said in disdain. Hiss. Everyone gasped and gave Wang Yu a thumbs up. Nyogu, in terms of heroism, I only admire you. Wang Yu was puzzled. Isn't it just Underwater Fish City? What's there to be surprised about? Wuji waved his hand and said, You don't understand. The point isn't Underwater Fish City, but Thunder City is their territory. As the saying goes, a powerful dragon cannot suppress a local snake. Wars between guilds in different main cities were not something that could be easily returned. This was especially true in a game like Rebirth, which was extremely realistic. The players were very territorial. If there was a conflict between two guilds in the same main city, everyone could sit down and discuss the outcome after a group fight. However, no one dared to fight a war between two main cities. After all, if a foreign guild went to another main city to pick a fight, it would not be as simple as targeting a single guild. There was no guarantee that a bunch of guilds would come to beat them up. To move unhindered, wasn't it awesome? It was the only guild in Rebirth that initiated a war between cities, and the target was a small guild with a dozen or so people. didn't it also end in failure in the end? Therefore, before they had an overwhelming strength, no guild dared to go to another main city to pick a fight. Otherwise, just the matter of underwater fish and Chuanjin scamming Dugujioqiang's boss would have caused trouble long ago. Underwater fish lost such an important item like the Atlanta key. With that brat's personality, he would definitely not let it go. Moreover, underwater fish also knew the introduction of this quest. He would definitely set up an ambush in Thunder City. That was his territory. How could a mere dozen or so people from Chuanjin try to cause trouble in his territory? Is that so? Wang Yu nodded. If I can't beat them, I'll run. They can't catch me anyway. Let me tell you, I can run really fast now. Damn, you're so wretched. Everyone looked at Wang Yu in disdain. Wuji, what do you say? Chuanjin knew that they could not be compared to a perverted guy like Wang Yu, so they could only place their hopes on Wuji. Wuji smiled. I also think that running away is a good idea if we can't beat them. Damn, don't mess around. I'm not messing around. Think about it from another perspective. With underwater fish's selfish personality, would he let the whole world know about the Atlanta key? Wuji paused. To place one's pride casually said, such a precious item, that scum probably wouldn't even tell his closest people. Underwater fish was extremely selfish. Dugu Ling and he were publicly recognized as a couple. Their relationship was probably the closest. However, because of a mere piece of equipment, he casually kicked his wife and slandered her. This kind of scum would never open his heart to others. Bingo! Wu Ji smiled and said, so I'm guessing that, watching the fish in the water, wouldn't dare to tell their own guild members about this. At most, they would do something in the dark. They wouldn't be able to cause much trouble. Are you sure? After listening to Wuji's analysis, the pressure on everyone lessened. Wuji said, I'm only sure that Atlanta definitely has a lot of good stuff. Cowards won't be able to get it. Wuji emphasized the word good stuff very clearly. Hearing that, everyone from Chuanjin felt their blood boil. Mingdu rolled up his sleeves and said lightly, Tisk, look at what you're saying. Isn't it just dying once? I'm not that kind of person who's afraid of death. Chapter 566. Just as Wuji had said, Carefree Fish Underwater was an extremely selfish person. The Atlan Key was a special reward that the United Hearts Alliance received after they completed a large-scale mission. As the leader, Carefree Fish Underwater had easily kept it. If he dared to speak out now, he would definitely be deserted. However, as an insider, Carefree Fish Underwater had not only spent a high price to inquire about the plot of the Atlan Key, he had also flipped through a large number of books in the library. Thunderstorm City and Death Swamp were the original sites of the Atlan ancient civilization, so there were more records. At this time, Carefree Fish Underwater understood the value of the key better than the people of Chuanjin. If not for the fact that his subordinates were not strong enough at this stage and the mission location was in the territory of the Dark Faction, Carefree Fish Underwater would not have waited until now to act. If the key had been obtained by someone else, Carefree Fish Underwater would not have been so worried, because Carefree Fish Underwater did not have the ability to complete the mission. However, after witnessing Wang Yu's unfathomable strength, Carefree Fish Underwater panicked. Nian Luyun was already unreasonably strong, and this guy was simply terrifying to the point of despair. Watching as one's own treasure was taken away by someone else was definitely not the type of person who would look at a fish in the water. Thus, this fellow displayed his specialty of speaking without thinking and found the boss of Thunderstorm City's #1 guild, Berserk Sky Law, Berserk Thunder God. Boss Thunder God, how have you been? After inviting Berserk Thunder God to the tavern, Carefree Fish Underwater greeted him enthusiastically. It had to be said that Carefree Fish Underwater's social skills were definitely top-notch to be able to recruit so many people to follow him. No matter what, he knew what to say. At this moment, if one did not know the two of them, they would think that they were brothers reuniting after a long separation. Not bad, especially after hearing that your number one expert was beaten up. I feel even better. Although Carefree Fish Underwater was enthusiastic, Berserk Thunder God did not buy it at all. After all, a small guild like the United Hearts Alliance had recruited an expert like Nian Luyun. As the boss of the number one guild in Thunderstorm City, Berserk Thunder God would definitely hold a grudge. Recently, he heard that Nian Luyun was beaten up and even posted on the forum. This made Berserk Thunder God inexplicably happy. Thunder God looked down on Watcher Underwater even more. In Thunder God's eyes, Watcher Underwater was a weakling protected by his subordinates. Therefore, when he saw Watcher Underwater's behavior, Thunder God was filled with even more disdain. Wasn't it easy for him to make sarcastic remarks? Hee. Underwater laughed dryly and said, "It's all hype. Aren't we well aware of Flowing Cloud's capabilities?" Thunder God's heart trembled when he heard this. He glared at the fish in the water again. Although Unity Alliance and Violent Thunder Heavenly Punishment didn't have any major conflicts, these two guilds resided in the same main city. One was the largest, while the other claimed to be the strongest. It was inevitable that there would be some friction. As Unity Alliance's deterrent force, Flowing Cloud had naturally lectured Violent Thunder Heavenly Punishment several times. Of course, it wasn't just a verbal lecture. Thunder God Berserk said unhappily, "Since your Nian Luyun is so capable, why did you come to me?" Underwater Fish hurriedly said, "No matter how powerful Luyun is, he's still far inferior to Violent Lightning Heavenly Punishment. Don't try to fool me with this nonsense. If you have something to say, just say it. Why did you come to me?" Thunder God Berserk asked. "I recently accepted a quest. I hope Boss Thunder God can help me with it," Underwater Fish said. "A quest?" Thunder God Berserk said, "You have Flowing Cloud in your guild. Why would you come to me for such a trivial matter?" Although Thunder God Berserk disliked Flowing Cloud, he still acknowledged Flowing Cloud's strength. "Well, the quest is a little special." Underwater Fish tried to bluff. "It's like this. A few spies from the Dark Faction want to pass through Ironrock Castle to the Undead Swamp. They have a confidential letter from the Radiant Conference, so the system gave me a quest to intercept them. But isn't Ironrock Castle your territory?" No wonder. Thunder God Berserk did not doubt Underwater Fish's words at all. Ironrock Castle was the only way from Thunderstorm City to the Undead Swamp. The Ironrock Castle was Violent Heavenly Punishment's guild encampment. Of course, he had to notify Violent Heavenly Punishment if he wanted to do a quest in Violent Heavenly Punishment's territory. "But you guys are swaggering around our territory. I'm afraid my brothers will be unhappy," Thunder God Berserk said with a smile. As a guild leader, Thunder God Berserk was definitely not stupid. How could he let go of such a good opportunity to extort money? Underwater Fish knew this would happen. He hurriedly handed over a bag of money and said with a smile, "I understand. When the time comes, I hope Boss Thunder God can help me intercept them." Of course. Thunder God Berserk agreed casually. In reality, he did not take it to heart. "You're already being benevolent by not messing around with your quest. You still want us to help you? Dream on." At this moment, Underwater Fish muttered to himself, "I wonder if it's true that the confidential letter can be exchanged for a chance for the guild to level up if it's given to the Vatican." "What did you say?" Thunder God Berserk instantly became spirited when he heard this. Due to the troubles caused by Wang Yu and the others, Violent Heavenly Punishment was the only level 2 guild in the game. This had always been a pain in Thunder God Berserk's heart. Thunder God Berserk was instantly excited when he heard that there was an item that could allow the guild to level up to level 3. "Ah? Did I say something?" Boss Thunder God must have misheard. Underwater Fish pretended to be alarmed and said. Seeing Underwater Fish's attitude, Thunder God Berserk chuckled and said, He, nothing, nothing. I haven't been resting well recently, so I'm hearing things. If there's nothing else, I'll be heading back. And, Boss Thunder God, make sure to rest well. Underwater Fish reminded. Thank you for your concern, Boss Underwater Fish. Back at the guild encampment, Thunder God Berserk immediately gathered the core members of the guild. After a discussion, he finally issued an order in the guild chat. Everyone, come back. Seal off all the paths to Iron Rock Castle. Kill all players who go to the Undead Swamp. Violent Heavenly Punishment had many experts, and their work efficiency was swift and decisive. After receiving the order, everything was quickly set up. At this time, Chuanjun and the others had already flown to Thunderstorm City on the airship. Wang Yu, Mingdu, and Chun Xiang had all been to Thunderstorm City before. Now that they saw the staircase-like construction of Thunderstorm City, the three of them were filled with emotion. Chun Xiang, revisiting an old place, a song reminiscing an old friend. Mingdu continued, the light that wakes up in the middle of the night, can't bear to criticize me. Good poem, good poem. Wang Yu gave a thumbs up. The others were speechless. All right, stop showing off. Hurry up and go. Wuji teased the three of them. He opened the map and led the team out of the city. Wang Yu and the others had been to Thunderstorm City before, so they were quite familiar with the roads here. Chapter 567. Thunder City's leveling maps were all distributed around the main city. Only this road leading to Iron Rock Castle was the only leveling map outside the city. As the monster area at the foot of the mountain, this leveling area was filled with monsters around level 20. New players entered every day in Rebirth. Logically speaking, there should be a lot of players in this leveling area, but there were only a few people here. It was better to walk into the city. The more Quan Zhen people walked forward, the more puzzled they became. Thunder City was one of the few extremely prosperous neutral main cities because Great Mage Reynolds, one of the 7 heroes, trained here. Even if this was a non-mainstream leveling area, there shouldn't be no players. Just as everyone was wondering, a large group of players suddenly appeared in front of them. When the players saw Quan Zhen's group, they quickly surrounded them and shouted, "Stand still and don't move. Magic doesn't have eyes." The people of Thunder City are so tough? Hearing the words of the opposing players, Quan Zhen was quite surprised. They had been to many main cities, but they had never seen a main city's players so imposing. When the opposing players walked into the detection range, everyone had some understanding of this group of people. This team had 40 to 50 people, and their professions were very in line with the characteristics of Thunder City. Most of them were mages, and their equipment was very luxurious. The most inferior was a set of silver equipment with a few pieces of gold. The mage in the lead was even more dazzling. A dark gold staff exuded an arrogant and despotic light, making Mingdu swallow his saliva. No wonder they were so arrogant. Such a team of players could only be found in first-rate guilds. However, seeing the appearance of the mage, Wang Yu was happy. This guy was none other than Heart of Wild Thunder, whom he had killed before. Which guild are you from? Don't you know that this is the territory of Berserk Sky Law? Heart of Wild Thunder pointed at the Quan Zhen people and asked. So it's the territory of Berserk Sky Law. We just arrived here today and don't know the rules, Wuji said with a smile. As the number 1 guild in Thunderstorm City, Wuji had naturally heard of Berserk Heavenly Punishment. It was not uncommon for guilds to encroach on their territory. As the saying goes, it was better to avoid trouble. Right now, Wuji was not in the mood to cause trouble for them. When Heart of Violent Thunder heard this, his expression froze slightly. He stared at Wuji and asked, "An outsider?" Underwater Fish had said that the target of this quest was not the players of Thunder City. Hearing Wuji's words, Violent Thunder Heart immediately became vigilant. "Ah, I'm an outsider," Wuji replied with a smile. "Then what are you doing here?" "We're just passing by." We don't have any other intentions, Wuji explained. It was a big guild after all. What they hated the most was others stirring up trouble in their own territory. Wuji even thought that Violent Thunderheart suspected that he was here to cause trouble. Passing by. Hearing this, Violent Thunderheart's heart immediately tightened. Thunderstorm City was the border fortress between the two factions. Passing by here, other than going to the Undead Swamp, it was absolutely impossible for them to go anywhere else. It seemed that the spies that Underwater Fish had mentioned were these people. Thinking of this, Violent Thunderheart immediately ordered in the channel, "They are spies, kill them." At the beginning, when the people of Berserk Heavenly Punishment heard that the Chuanjian people were outsiders, they were ready to attack. At this time, when they received the order, everyone did not say anything else. They raised their weapons and began to chant Chain Lightning. "Get out of the way!" The opposite side's killing intent suddenly spread over like a tide, causing Wang Yu to be startled. Almost at the same time, before the opposite side's Chain Lightning finished chanting, Wang Yu roared and rushed forward. He stretched out his hand to grab Violent Thunderheart and threw it straight ahead. The direction in which Wang Yu threw it was towards Berserk Heavenly Punishment's team of mages. Although Violent Thunderheart was a mage, he was still quite tall and sturdy. After being thrown by Wang Yu with such force, his body swept across everyone, causing the players in the team of mages to immediately stagger from side to side. When a mage was chanting a spell, they couldn't move at will. After being hit by Violent Thunderheart, more than half of their spells were interrupted. The others were also afraid of accidentally injuring Violent Thunderheart, so they promptly stopped chanting. "Spread out." At this time, Wuji also reacted. He looked at the heart of Violent Thunder, who did not play by the rules, and gave a response command. When dealing with an area of effect spell, standing in a group was clearly the best way to stand, especially when facing a spell like Chain Lightning, where they had to spread out. The damage of Chain Lightning lay in the word chain. The lightning damage was multiplied, and the more people there were, the higher the damage. If several dozen mages of Berserk Heavenly Punishment released it, they would probably be able to blast the Chuanjian people into dregs in one round. If everyone spread out, Chain Lightning would directly change from an area of effect damage to a single target damage, and its power wouldn't even be comparable to the most basic lightning spell. After receiving Wuji's command, to place one's pride jumped not far from Wang Yu and blocked Berserk Heavenly Punishment's people on the other side. Yin Lao Air protected Exquisite Dream, Bao San protected Yang Na and quickly retreated, leaving the range of the mages. Ming Jian Daoshua and North Si Yu quickly disappeared into the air. Chun Xiang Mingdu and Wuji stood in a triangle, respectively behind Wang Yu and to place one's pride. They formed a 2-2-1-2-2 cover attack and defense formation with the warrior archers in the last row. At the same time, when Berserk Heavenly Punishment's front row saw that Violent Thunderheart had been sent flying, they quickly gathered and blocked the mages in the back row, forming a confrontation with Chuanjian's people. Because of Thunder City's main city culture, the class composition was very simple and crude. It was rare to see even a priest in a general team composition, only tanks and mages. The tank would block the monster, and the mage would kill it with a wave of Chain Lightning. This almost rogue style of fighting was indeed effective for leveling up. Even PK was very fierce. Over time, the fighting style of Thunderstorm City's players became a competition to see whose tank was more durable and whose mage was more painful, of course. Although there were only two kinds of class composition, because there were a lot of changes in the class composition, the strategy composition was more simplified. At the same time, it was also played to a very high level by Thunderstorm City's players. As the largest guild in Thunderstorm City, Berserk Heavenly Punishment was naturally one of the best. Berserk Heavenly Punishment's front row tanks raised their shields and activated the shield formation. Unlike the shield formation of ordinary players, Berserk Heavenly Punishment's shield formation had shields standing in a crisscross position, using each other as a support to make the shield formation more stable. Have you seen Riot Police? It's like that. This kind of crisscross shield formation not only greatly increased the defensive power, but it could also protect the team tightly. Even a PK expert like Wang Yu couldn't help but sigh when he saw these guys' cooperation. Chapter 568. Just as the two sides got into position, Heavenly Punishment Berserk's team attacked. Dozens of lightning bolts pounced towards Wang Yu and to place one's pride. Wang Yu's movement technique was extremely strange. With a few twists and turns, he easily dodged the dozen lightning bolt. To place one's pride didn't have Wang Yu's dodging ability, but under Wuji's invincible holy light, to place one's pride didn't even budge. He allowed the lightning bolts to strike him, and his HP didn't drop in the slightest. F***CK. Seeing this scene, Heavenly Punishment Berserk's mages all took a step back in shock, their faces filled with disbelief. Invincible holy light was one thing, it was a very famous holy skill. Everyone understood its attributes, but who the hell was that big pugilist? The lightning bolts were clearly thrown at him, but he just took a few steps and dodged them? This didn't make any sense. Although lightning spells weren't directional skills, and could be easily dodged, the trajectory of lightning spells was the fastest out of all skills. With a dozen lightning bolts covering an area at the same time, how could someone dodge them all? Even the strongest expert, Flowing Cloud, had suffered from this kind of fighting style. You! I think I've seen you somewhere before. Seeing Wang Yu's powerful skills, Violent Thunderheart suddenly thought of a figure. As he spoke, he looked towards Wang Yu's chest. As expected, that black and white yin-yang fish entered Violent Thunderheart's eyes. It's you! Seeing Wang Yu's yin-yang fish emblem, the heart of Violent Thunder immediately remembered that it was this person who had killed him with 2 punches, and then caused the conflict between the Violent Heavenly Punishment and the Unity Heart Alliance, which indirectly led to the fall of the Iron Rock Castle. As the fuse of this incident, although Violent Thunder God didn't blame Violent Thunderheart, Violent Thunderheart's relationship with the guild wasn't good. After this incident, he was even more hated. This kind of rejection was something that Violent Thunderheart could truly feel. Therefore, the heart of Violent Thunder absolutely hated Wang Yu more than anyone else in the Berserk Sky Law. I didn't expect you to have such a good memory. Wang Yu laughed. What the F***CK? Everyone, kill this bitch for me. Heart of Violent Thunder frantically raised his staff, and took the lead in condensing a thick bolt of lightning, which he threw at Wang Yu. Violent Thunder was an advanced thunder single-target spell. Its attack was similar to thunder, but its attack power was increased by several times. It was the most powerful skill among all level 35 classes. However, Wang Yu was able to dodge over a dozen lightning bolts. It was obviously impossible for a Violent Thunder spell to hit him. Wang Yu casually took a step back and easily dodged the Violent Thunder spell. Do you think you're the only one who knows magic? Wang Yu muttered in disdain. Behind him, Mingdu and Chun Xiang also threw their spells at the opposing team. Mingdu's Heavenly Fire Thunder was abnormally powerful and had a huge momentum. Dozens of fire arrows seemed to cover the sky, which was extremely frightening. In contrast, Chun Xiang's Toxic Nova was much more low-key. Only a green light spread out from Chun Xiang and floated in all directions. Seeing the spells flying over, the shield warriors in the front row of the Berserk Sky Law's shield formation moved up and down. The shield formation was divided into 2. The shield warriors at the back raised their shields high and covered the sky. The other shield warriors placed their shields in front of them, blocking all of Chun Xiang's poison. Mingdu's Heavenly Fire Thunder was extremely high, but the shield warriors of Violent Thunder City had been dealing with mages all year round. Compared to the tanks of other main cities, their shields were extremely special. Their magic resistance was actually much higher than their physical defense. Because Bright City was standing at the back, the range of the spells was limited, and the shield warriors were able to receive all of the fire arrows. They landed on the shields of the tanks and turned into balls of yellow light that flashed on the surface of the shields before disappearing. After blocking the spells, both sides were stunned. Chun Xiang's Toxic Nova wasn't very powerful, but everyone knew about Mingdu's spells. Fire and lightning mixed together to deal damage, and the instant explosion of Aeoli spells was a lot more powerful than single-target spells. Very few people would survive a single spell. The Berserk Sky Law's Shield Warrior's HP didn't change in the slightest after receiving the attack. How high was his magic resistance? The Berserk Sky Law's shield bearers were even more alarmed. Their shields mainly focused on magic resistance, especially lightning resistance. Yet, the other side's spell had almost no block value. This was something they had never encountered before. What was even worse was that the shields of the shield warriors hit by the Toxic Nova didn't lose any block value, but they were corroded, and their durability was dropping bit by bit. Durability was the most important attribute of shields. Seeing their durability still dropping, the shield warriors' hearts were broken. "Boss Wild Thunder, why don't we retreat first? We'll be at a disadvantage if we keep fighting like this," the shield warriors wailed in the channel. In the game, equipment was more valuable than life. If they died a few times, they would just lose the XP, but if their equipment was destroyed, what was the point of playing? Wild Thunderheart said, "Everyone, calm down. These guys aren't easy to deal with. I've already notified Boss Thunder God. Reinforcements will be here soon." Boss Wild Thunder seems to know that Grandmaster of Combat. "Who are they?" someone asked Wild Thunderheart. "Meow, these guys were more powerful than the other, and they even had such an insidious method of dropping equipment durability. It was unheard of. It was too scary. They're from Chuanjin," Wild Thunderheart said. "That's Chuanjin?" "Yes, it's them. F***CK. So it's that group of scum." For the members of Sky Law Berserk, Chuanjin could not be more familiar. It wasn't that everyone in Chuanjin knew who they were, but every time Sky Law Berserk held a meeting, Chuanjin would be dragged out as a bad example and would be scolded and criticized by everyone. As time went by, not to mention the veteran players who had heard of Chuanjin, even the newcomers had a deep impression of this heinous group. The hatred of having a gang destroyed was greater than heaven. Almost every Sky Law Berserk player's creed was to kill anyone from Chuanjin. However, today, they finally met their legendary enemy. Suddenly, the members of Sky Law Berserk felt that it would be better to kill anyone from Chuanjin and run away if they met them. Thinking of this, the members of Sky Law Berserk retracted their formation. It couldn't be helped. In front of a group of ruthless people like Chuanjin, dispersing their formation would definitely cause them to die faster. With the protection of the shield warriors and the formation retracted, their chances of survival were relatively higher. Based on the situation just now, holding out until reinforcements arrived would not be a problem. Seeing that the members of Sky Law Berserk had suddenly retracted their formation, Wuji's expression changed. "They're actually trying to buy time. Looks like they're calling for reinforcements. Let's fight to the end." "Got it." As he spoke, Mingdu and Chun Xiang attacked again. Chapter 569. There was a saying that went, "Don't argue with idiots, because they would quickly drag you down to the same level of intelligence and defeat you with abundant surprise." Chuanjin's group had always relied on various variations to fight against their enemies, but they were actually fighting against the Berserk Heavenly Punishments players. Of course, no one was a match for Berserk Heavenly Punishment when it came to this kind of shameless fighting style. They dodged it again. "These guys are really sneaky. What's the point of fighting if we can't control them?" Chun Xiang said gloomily after his dark boundary missed time and time again. Yoi crowd control skills had a very long prerequisites, and the Berserk Heavenly Punishments players had a way to deal with mages. Even Chun Xiang's control skills couldn't do anything to them. Their control skills were so terrifying that Mingdu's spells on the ground couldn't hit them, and the spells in the sky couldn't kill them either. He could only let the opponents stall for time and wait for reinforcements. Wuji said, "Don't panic. They won't be able to move soon." Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. As soon as Wuji finished speaking, a few black arrows were shot at the opponent's shield formation from behind. "Brother Chun, get ready to use your control skills," Wuji suddenly ordered when he saw the arrows flying out. "Damn, don't tell me you think these arrows can kill their front row?" Chun Xiang asked in surprise. The opponent's front row was full of shields, and they could even block Mingdu's spells. A few arrows didn't seem convincing at all. "Of course not. Just take care of yourself." Wuji smiled and turned to Mingdu. "Brother Chun, when you control them, you just need to throw your spells." Chun Xiang and Mingdu heard this, and although they didn't know why, they still raised their staff. After experiencing the baptism of Mingdu's artillery fire, the Berserk Heavenly Punishments players had become much more knowledgeable. A few arrows didn't even have the value of dodging. The Berserk Heavenly Punishments front row shielded their chests with their shields, and easily blocked the trajectory of the arrows. However, the arrows did not hit the shield. Instead, they drew a parabola in the air and landed less than half a meter away from the shields, weakly stabbing into the ground. Chun Xiang and Mingdu covered their eyes at the same time. F***ck, whose arrow was this? If it hit someone's shield, it would at least prove its strength and accuracy. But F***ck, it hit the ground. This was too embarrassing. Seeing the 3 arrows fall to the ground, the Berserk Tian Fa people also stared blankly for a moment. Then, they roared with laughter. "You still have the cheek to shoot arrows?" These fellows were indeed as indecent as the rumors said. However, the moment the arrow landed, Wuji ordered, "Brother Chun, oldly, use your skill." Chun Xiang and Mingdu had already started channeling their skills the moment they fired their arrows. As the arrows flew towards them, the two of them had already finished channeling their skills. After receiving the command, they immediately used their skills without hesitation. 2 circles, one green and one red, appeared below the Berserk Sky Wrath's formation. Dodge. Seeing the spells on the ground, Heart of Wild Thunder hurriedly ordered them to dodge. Several shield warriors in the front row received the order and subconsciously raised their shields, but the system very humorously told them, "You have been silenced, F***ck? When did this happen?" Without their shields to block, the shield warriors were shocked and hurriedly retreated. In the end, the system prompted again, "You have been immobilized." F***ck, how is this possible? The shield warriors who were immobilized completely panicked, huh? Why aren't the shield warriors in the front row dodging? Mingdu asked doubtfully when he saw that the opposite shield formation did not raise their shields or move. At this time, Exquisite Dream sneered in the channel. F***ck, that group of scum dares to laugh at me. Have you heard of the shadow-binding arrow? Those arrows just now were shot by Sister Meng? Mingdu asked in surprise. Of course it's me, those grandsons of mine are under my control. Exquisite Dream shouted. No wonder, your arrows are so accurate. Mingdu sneered. Exquisite Dream unhappily said, Nonsense, I did it on purpose. Do you want to give it a try? Mingdu shrunk back and promptly said, I wouldn't dare, I wouldn't dare. The few most important shield warriors on the Berserk Heavenly Punishment side were immobilized. The other shield warriors panicked and didn't know whether to maintain the formation or abandon their teammates to escape. Everyone had different thoughts, so their actions were naturally different. Some shield bearers did not move, while some shield bearers retreated. The shield formation collapsed on its own. At the same time, vines emerged from underneath the shield formation, entangling everyone in the area. The shield formation and the magic array worked together. The shield formation was in a dominant position. If the shield formation didn't move, the mages wouldn't dare to run around. Mingdu's spell fell and instantly covered all the players controlled by Spring Soar. In just one round, more than half of the Berserk Heavenly Punishment's mages had been killed or injured. Berserk Heavenly Punishment was worthy of being a big guild. The remaining players saw their teammates die and immediately began to regroup. Under Bright City's spell, all the brittle tanks died, and not a single shield bearer died. The same number of tanks protecting the mages was definitely more reliable. At that moment, Wang Yu and Gao dashed out, one after the other, and arrived in front of the shield bearers who were gathering their formation. Without the support of the shield formation and the mages' firepower to cover them, Wang Yu and To Place One's Pride were like two steel blades that instantly tore a hole in the formation that had yet to regroup. At the same time, Mingdu and Spring Source spells fell once again. White lights flew up and only a dozen shield warriors remained of the Berserk Heavenly Punishment's 50-man team. The shield warriors didn't have any attack power, so they couldn't do much damage to the Chuanjian team. Moreover, these iron turtles had astonishing defenses, so killing them would take too much time. Moreover, the reinforcements from the Iron Rock Castle were about to arrive. Thus, Wuji decisively gave the order to retreat. Don't waste time. Everyone, return to the city. At first, Wuji didn't expect to fight with Berserk Heavenly Punishment. Now that they had made a mistake, they couldn't stay here any longer. They had to quickly return to the city and board an airship or a teleportation circle to be absolutely safe. The rest of the Chuanjian team had analyzed this problem before coming here. Now that they had encountered it, they obviously understood the severity of this matter. Offending the biggest guild in the area, dying together was a light punishment. They might even be ganged up on 100 times. Thinking of this, the Chuanjian team couldn't help but retreat. The Berserk Heavenly Punishment's shield warriors were all short-legged. Seeing the Chuanjian team escape, they didn't dare to chase after them. Even if they dared to chase after them, they couldn't do anything. They could only watch as the Chuanjian team gradually went further away. The Chuanjian team ran for a full 5 minutes until they saw the main gate of Thunderstorm City. Everyone stopped. Daoshua, the people behind didn't chase after us, right? No, they didn't move. Ming Jian Daoshua replied. That's good. Wuji let out a long sigh of relief. Let's retreat first. This matter has to be considered at length. My old friends, where are you going? Chapter 570. You're the one behind this? Wuji raised his head and saw Watchful Fish's sinister smile. He suddenly understood what was going on. Originally, Wuji was still puzzled. His group had only been passing by, yet the Berserk Heavenly Punishment's members had attacked him without saying a word. The situation was too inexplicable. No matter how powerful the Berserk Heavenly Punishment was, they couldn't be so unreasonable. It turned out that Watchful Fish was the one who had stirred up trouble. What surprised Wuji the most was that Watchful Fish already had his own guild, yet he still wanted to mobilize other guilds to cause trouble. He only had to deal with a dozen or so players, yet he still wanted to make such a big fuss. With his character, he must have placed himself on the moral high ground. He was truly filthy to the extreme. When Watchful Fish saw Wuji's expression, he felt extremely refreshed. He said with incomparable pride, Boss Wuji, watch your words. How is this a trick? Isn't this the wisdom you excel in? Haha, your so-called wisdom is to sow discord and invert black and white? Wuji sneered. Watchful Fish ignored Wuji's ridicule and casually smiled. Whatever you say. As long as I can get rid of you scum, this is wisdom. Shameless bastard. Wuji's face paled as he spoke through gritted teeth. If this was a leveling area in the wilderness, with Chuanjian's temper, they would definitely fight to the death with Watchful Fish. However, they were currently at the city gate. As outsiders, if Chuanjin dared to make a move, they would definitely be surrounded and attacked. Ironrock Fort's reinforcements were right behind them, and their way back was blocked by the concentric alliance. Chuanjin was stuck between a rock and a hard place. Wuji was quite conceited about his own intelligence. When Chuanjin was still a 5-man team, they were able to stir up trouble everywhere they went. Half of that was due to Wuji's leadership. Wuji never thought that he would be forced into such an awkward situation by the person he hated the most. Most importantly, this disgusting bastard had been defeated by him, a person he treated like a stray dog. What? Does your Chuanjin know fear? Beneath the water, there was a disdainful smile on his face as he said, "If you know what's good for you, then hand over the quest item. Otherwise, you scum can just wait to be beaten up by others." When the people of Chuanjin heard that, their faces turned ashen. The Berserk Sky Law had once been messed with by Chuanjin's people, and the Guardian Fish Underwater and Chuanjin had a blood feud as deep as the sea. With these two families joining hands, with the enmity between the Guardian Fish Underwater and Chuanjin, Luan Bai would definitely do what he said. At this moment, a cold laugh broke the silence. Wang Yu stared at the fish in the water and said, "You still dare to talk big after being killed by me so many times. Looks like you still haven't learned your lesson." When Beneath the Water saw Wang Yu, his heart trembled and his legs subconsciously went soft. Luckily, Nian Luyun grabbed him in time, preventing him from making a fool of himself in front of everyone. Underwater Catcher took a moment to regain his composure before continuing, I know you're capable, Iron Bull, but with just the few of you have, even if you manage to escape unscathed, do you think you can protect all of your friends?" It seemed like Beneath the Water was very convinced of Wang Yu's ability. They had so many people on their side and had the home advantage, but Beneath the Water didn't have the confidence to keep Wang Yu here. From this, it could be seen how much of a shadow Wang Yu had left in Beneath the Water. When the people of Chuanjin heard Beneath the Water's words, their expressions became unsettled. These people were also fierce people who loved to fight. In the past, no matter how bad their reputation was in the game, their strength had never been looked down upon. However, in the eyes of Beneath the Water, they had actually become the weak ones that were being protected. How could they tolerate this? Although Beneath the Water wasn't exactly speaking without thinking, this kind of thing was enough as long as they understood it. Saying it out loud would hurt their pride. What a joke! Wuji stared at Beneath the Water and said, "In the past, before Old Cow existed, I didn't even fear your 3 fiends' manner, let alone a motley crew like you." At the same time, Wuji issued an order in the channel. "Old Cow, kill Beneath the Water. Let's turn back." You're putting up a stubborn resistance." Before Beneath the Water could finish his sentence, Wang Yu's figure flashed and appeared in front of Beneath the Water. He raised his hand and grabbed Beneath the Water's neck. Seeing this, Nian Luyun hurriedly lunged forward to grab Wang Yu. However, Nian Luyun was still a beat too late. By now, Wang Yu had already broken Beneath the Water's neck. He followed up with a karate chop and stabbed Nian Luyun in the chest. Nian Luyun instantly turned into a white light. Without Beneath the Water's command, Unity Alliance was like a plate of loose sand. Seeing their boss and the town's experts being killed so easily by Wang Yu, the Unity Alliance's players were immediately dumbfounded. They were all at a loss and didn't know what to do. Quan Zhen and the others took this opportunity to turn around and run back. In the blink of an eye, Beneath the Water appeared at the resurrection point. He also knew his subordinate's weakness, so he opened the guild channel and shouted, "Don't just stand there. Kill them." The Unity Alliance's players didn't have many strengths, but they were obedient. After receiving Beneath the Water's command, they immediately chased after them. Quan Zhen and the others didn't run far before they could faintly see Ironrock Fortress's Berserk Heavenly Punishment's reinforcements catching up to them. Unity Alliance's reinforcements weren't far behind them either. F***CK, it's over. We're going to be surrounded. Seeing that there were wolves in front and tigers behind, Mingdu couldn't help but cry out. F***ck. Yin Lao Er slammed his shield on the ground and said angrily, "Why are we still running? Let's fight them to the death." Hearing Yin Lao Er's words, the others tightened their grip on their weapons and prepared to fight. There were all kinds of scum in the Chuanjian sect, but there were no cowards. After being hunted down so many times, they had always been able to turn defeat into victory. But now they were being beaten up like dogs in an alley. These people's violent tempers had long since run out of patience. Even Chun Xiang, who had always supported Wuji, got into position and prepared to fight. Wang Yu turned around and pointed at the pursuing Unity Alliance players, saying, "I'll charge forward and see if I can clear a path for you guys. Stop fooling around. They have at least 1,000 people, and you still want to lead us away? Do you really think you're Superman?" Wuji said with a cold expression. Wang Yu had Qinggong, so he could naturally escape if he wanted to. However, if he wanted to clear a path out of 1,000 people, he was simply not taking the system's settings seriously. "Then are we going to continue running like rats?" Mingdu said in a strange tone. Wuji's repeated orders to retreat made this tyrannical fellow a little unhappy. At this moment, he actually spoke coldly to Wuji. "No. Let's go up the mountain." Wuji pointed at the side of the road. Hearing this, Mingdu said, "Does this count as us being driven into a corner?" Chapter 571. There was a wide road from Thunder City to Iron Rock Fort. This road was the main road used to transport supplies during the war between the two camps, commonly known as the official road. On both sides of the official road were hillsides, which were covered with lush trees. From time to time, monsters would appear. It was a low-level training area within Iron Rock Fort. Because the end of the hillside was a steep mountain wall, there was no other way to leave this place. Therefore, this terrain was good for hiding, but definitely not for running away. However, for Wuji, this place was high up and had trees as a barrier. It was easy to defend and difficult to attack. It was a very good ambush terrain. More importantly, this place was far away from the main city and was blocked by the violent heavenly punishment. The forest was vast and dense. Even if they poked a hole in the sky, no one would notice. "Let's go up." After entering the forest, Wuji put on the glasses that he was usually reluctant to wear. His field of vision instantly increased. With a field of vision, the terrain in front of him could be seen at a glance. Wuji led the Chuanjian people deep into the forest and stopped at the end of the forest under a rock. "If I'm not wrong, this is a dead end," Mingdo said as he looked at the surrounding terrain when everyone arrived at the foot of the mountain. "And that's right. This is an absolute dead end," Wuji said, "but we live and they die. You must be joking. The two guilds added together would have at least a few thousand players. Even if we fought with our backs against the mountains, we wouldn't be able to beat them," Mingdo exclaimed in shock. He thought that Wuji was going to attack the terrain again. "Humph!" Wuji sneered and pointed to the boulder on the side. "Who said we are going to hide in the terrain? Everyone, hide on that boulder." Mingdu took a few steps back and tiptoed to carefully look at the boulder. He found that the boulder was about the height of a person. It was high on the outside and low on the inside. At first glance, it was impossible to see the top. It was indeed very suitable for hiding. However, if others really opened up a distance and looked carefully like him, they would also find that there was something wrong with the boulder. In this way, it would be even more dangerous if they were surrounded. Thinking of this, Mingdu said, "What if we are discovered by others?" Wuji patted his chest and said, "Go ahead, I won't find out." After saying that, Wuji said to Wang Yu, Ming Jian Daoxue, and Bai Ming Yu, "You guys hide somewhere else first. Later, when you see this station open, do your best to harass them. Don't get caught." "Got it." Wang Yu nodded. With a leap, he stepped on the tree trunk and jumped up. Ming Jian Daoxue and Bai Mingyu also turned invisible. The others climbed up the boulder under Wuji's command and hid. At the same time, Violent Thunderheart's Berserk Heavenly Wrath and Compassion's One Heart Alliance's players had already met up on the main road. Violent Thunderheart had an arrogant temper, and Compassion wasn't a good person either. These two fellows usually didn't get along. Now that they met on a narrow road, Violent Thunderheart furrowed his brows and asked, "Where are Chuanjin's people?" Berserk Heavenly Wrath's people were blocking the way from the back, and One Heart Alliance's people were blocking the way from the front. Chuanjin's people should be in the middle of the two groups. I was going to ask you guys, didn't they go back? Compassion asked, unwilling to be outdone. Bullshit, did you see Chuanjin's people? Violent Thunderheart asked the players behind him. Berserk Heavenly Wrath's players shook their heads. We walked all the way here, but we didn't see anyone. Could it be that they have entered the forest? I murmured as I looked to my left and right with Mercy in my hand. Nonsense. If they aren't on the main road, then they must have entered the forest. Why aren't you going to search? Violent Thunderheart said as he scolded with disdain, "What a bunch of trash. You can't even see us from behind." Compassion's face turned red and he said, "Do you know if they're on the left or right?" Violent Thunderheart said, "We'll take the left, you take the right. Whoever catches them gets it. Don't go back on your word." "Okay. If you don't go back on your word, you'll get your penis." After the two of them talked for a while, they left half of their people to guard the road. Then, they each took a portion of their own people and went up the hills on the two sides. At this time, Wang Yu was hiding in a tree and could see far. He could faintly see a group of players enter the forest, and so he sent a message in the chat, "They're coming up." "Is it Berserk Heavenly Wrath or One Heart Alliance?" Wuji asked. When they got closer, Wang Yu said, "Their equipment looks ordinary, they should be from One Heart Alliance." Although One Heart Alliance was able to compete with Berserk Heavenly Wrath in Thunderstorm City, the majority of the reason was because of Thought Flowing Cloud. In terms of average strength, there was still a gap between the top guilds like One Heart Alliance and Berserk Heavenly Wrath. No matter if it was their equipment or their arrogant temperament. Okay, these idiots don't have underwater command, so they're just going to die. We can just deal as much damage as we want later. Wuji said to Chuanjin and the others on the rock. Berserk Heavenly Wrath's players not only had strong equipment, they also had the awareness of a big guild. Once they were attacked, they would immediately react appropriately. In comparison, these weak chickens from One Heart Alliance were like dumb deer. The others said worriedly, "Wuji, are you confident? There are a lot of people from One Heart Alliance. If we're discovered in such a small area, we won't be able to escape if they use chain lightning on us. Once we enter the revival point, we can only resign ourselves to our fate." The surface of the rock was only 5 to 6 square meters, completely covered by the chain lightning. Both One Heart Alliance and Berserk Heavenly Wrath were guilds with a large number of mages. Even if they were bare-handed mages, with so many chain lightning attacks, it would be enough to kill Chuanjin many times over. Actually, being instantly killed wasn't scary. What was scary was that the revival point would definitely have an ambush set up. As long as Chuanjin's people entered the revival point, other than an overpowered player like Wang Yu, no one else would be able to escape. Wuji said, "Don't worry, I won't fight a battle I'm not confident in." Hearing Wuji say this, everyone's hearts sank. This grandson Wuji dared to say he was confident even if he was only 1% confident. "Don't make a sound, they're here." Just as everyone was talking, I Touch Mercy had already led some people over. Excluding the people guarding the road and the crossroads, Compassion had brought more than 300 people with him. It could be said that the members of One Heart Alliance were like a pile of loose sand. In this kind of situation, it was necessary to extend the front line as far as possible while ensuring their safety. However, The members of One Heart Alliance were unorganized and undisciplined. They were more random than the monsters in the forest. Chapter 572. A group fight was different from a one-on-one duel. Qualified guilds would pay great attention to their positioning and formation when engaging in a group fight. For example, Wu Ji didn't think it was enough to describe Unity Alliance's players as a motley crew. Even new players who went up the mountain to search for people would not stand in such a disorderly manner. These people were basically here for a field trip. Only God knew how he had turned his subordinates into such a moronic state, but speaking of which, this kind of positioning was exactly what Wu Ji did not want to see. After all, Wu Ji planned to kill as many people as he could in one go. If they had a proper formation and ambushed them from the back, it would not be a problem for them to kill dozens of people. However, Unity Alliance was so scattered that they could only kill a few people at once. It was not worth it to attack them at all. Wu Ji had calculated everything, but he had been carelessly caught by these reckless people. "Why aren't you guys attacking?" Wang Yu asked in puzzlement when he saw that the Unity Alliance players were about to walk out of Mingdu's attack range. "Damn, these idiots are so scattered. How are we supposed to attack them?" Wu Ji said gloomily. "Easy." Wang Yu smiled calmly and jumped down from the tree. He shouted in midair, "Hello, what are you guys looking for?" The forest was originally quiet, but Wang Yu's shout instantly attracted everyone's attention. "Chuanzhen's players are over there. Attack him! Retreat, retreat. Put some distance between us. This Grandmaster of Combat is too strong. Retreat my ass. There are so many of us and you think we can't beat him? Damn it, I dare you to curse again. Who do you think you are? How dare you order me around?" After they discovered Wang Yu, the Unity Alliance players started giving orders to each other. Not only did they fail to form a formation, but they also became a mess. Wang Yu, who had descended from the sky, was left to the side. A cold wind blew through the forest, and Wang Yu felt completely ignored. Seeing this scene, Chuanzhen's members were thrown into disarray. Just how did such a lousy guild survive until now? Wu Ji finally understood why the players of One Heart Alliance didn't even stand in formation. It wasn't that they didn't know how to stand in formation, but that they didn't respect anyone except for watching fish under the water and flowing cloud. Damn it, they worshipped each other. Wang Yu took out a stick and knocked on the tree. "Be serious, are you guys going or not? If not, then I'm leaving." "Fuck, you want to leave after offending our United Heart Alliance? Don't move if you have the guts." When it came to dealing with Wang Yu, the members of the United Heart Alliance finally came to an agreement. I swung my mercy sword behind me, lowered my head and charged at Wang Yu. The other members of the United Heart Alliance stood in a mess behind them, chanting spells or raising shields to protect their companions. Wang Yu shook her head when she saw me using Merciful Charge. Warriors loved to use charge as a starter, but this kind of skill was too direct. Furthermore, it was launched from such a far distance. It was impossible to deal with an expert. Wang Yu dodged to the side, but just as he was about to dodge, I Mercy Charge swung his sword horizontally and used Whirlwind Slash. Spinning in a circle, he slashed at Wang Yu. This move caused Wang Yu's eyes to light up. Charge Whirlwind Slash. This warrior has some skill. However, this so-called skill only applied to normal players. It's still not enough to deal with Wang Yu. Wang Yu jumped back. One end of her staff was stuck between Touch of Compassion's legs, while the other end was stuck in a nearby tree trunk. Touch of Compassion let out a sorrowful howl. His skill was forcefully interrupted and he fell to the ground. By then, the United Heart Alliance members had already finished chanting their spells, and they rained down on Wang Yu. Wang Yu flipped forward, and the numerous spells brushed past Wang Yu as he rolled on the ground. As he rolled, Wang Yu shouted, "So many of you! Do you dare to fight me one-on-one?" After getting up, Wang Yu turned around and ran in the opposite direction. Seeing Wang Yu's sorry state, the United Heart Alliance members' confidence soared. They sneered and said, "We have so many people, and we still want to fight you one-on-one? Do you think I'm stupid?" Everyone, chase after him. These guys relied on their numbers and strength to fight for first blood. When one person gave chase, the others behind him followed suit like a swarm of bees. Haha, old cow's clumsy acting skills. Everyone, prepare to attack. We're going to get a big one. Wuji saw that the United Heart Alliance members had finally gathered together and hurriedly gave everyone an order. The United Heart Alliance members turned around and ran back to the boulder. When their backs were facing the Quanjun players, Chun Xiang and Mingdu threw out their spells. Boom! 3 area of effect spells arrived at almost the same time and landed right in the middle of the United Heart Alliance members. Like a red soldering iron being thrown into a pile of snow, the United Heart Alliance players within the spell's range were instantly wiped out. Immediately after, 2 waves of arrows flew out one after another. The first wave of arrows nailed a few players who were left alone, while the second wave of arrows arrived at almost the same time and instantly killed all the players who were immobilized. In just one round, more than half of the United Heart Alliance members had died. Damn, 82 PK points. Thank goodness we're in the wild. Mingdu's heart broke when he saw his PK points skyrocketing. Chun Xiang also wanted to cry. My PK points are 44. As a profession with the lowest damage output, Chun Xiang had never thought that one day his PK points would stack up to such a high level. Stop attacking. Wuji looked down with satisfaction. Then, he took out a pink snake and threw it at his feet. The snake quickly circled around everyone, and the Quanjun players instantly disappeared into thin air. At the same time, the United Heart Alliance members, who were dumbfounded by the explosions, reacted. F***CK, we've fallen into an ambush. They have reinforcements. Quick, look for them. They can't have gone far. After another round of instructions, the remaining players of One Heart Alliance began to scatter. A few of them even headed towards the direction of the boulder. There's no one up there. A large shield warrior looked up from the boulder, but he couldn't find any clues. Mingdu looked into the shield warrior's eyes as he laid prone on the boulder. Cold sweat dripped down his back. Is there anyone up there? The mage behind the shield warrior asked. No. Could they have gone into stealth? Mages, stealth my ass. Hurry up and look elsewhere. The shield warriors cursed as they walked away. Mingdu patted his chest as he watched the United Heart Alliance members move further and further away. F***CK, this is too exciting. The more exciting part is yet to come. Wuji chuckled. He then said to Mingjian Daoshu and Bai Mingyu in the channel, harass them. As soon as Wuji gave the order, the 2 mages at the back of the United Heart Alliance members were stabbed by 2 black shadows and turned into white light. Mingjian Daoshue and Bai Mingyu only appeared for a moment before they instantly activated second stealth. By the time the United Heart Alliance members reacted, Mingjian Daoshue and Bai Mingyu had already disappeared. F***CK, there's a thief ambush. Everyone, stand back to back. F***CK, they have a mage. No, they have a thief. Chapter 573. Let's kill him first. Wang Yu's appearance caused the Heart Alliance players to change their target again. They fought to be the first to chase after him. Continue, Wuji ordered. Chuanjun launched another wave of attacks from the giant rock. The Heart Alliance was killed again. After that, Chuanjun went into hiding again. Since they were prepared this time, Chuanjun's ambush wasn't as effective as the first time. However, they still managed to take down 50 to 60 people. Heart Alliance's 300-man team was reduced to less than 100 in just 2 rounds. Touch Mercy panicked and shouted in the channel, "Stop charging blindly. Hurry up and get into formation. If not, we will be finished." What are you standing there for? Do you know where they are? Someone retorted. Only then did Mercy notice that he had lost 2/3 of his people. He hadn't even caught a glimpse of the enemy's shadow. Thinking of this, a sense of fear rose in his heart. After the conversation between the two, Mercy wasn't the only one who realized the strangeness of the situation. They couldn't help but feel their hearts palpitate. The enemy was in the dark while we were out in the open. But the enemy was out in the open and we couldn't see them. That was the scariest part. Retreat. Retreat. I touch Mercy hurriedly commanded. Fuck, the person in the tree isn't dead yet. Mercy shouted, stop it, run, or we won't even know how we died. Hearing Mercy's words, the others stopped arguing and turned to run out of the forest. Seeing the Heart Alliance players running away, Wang Yu jumped down from the tree and said, they're far away. Let's go too. Wuji pressed down the rock and jumped down. The others followed closely behind him. Where to? Everyone asked. Wuji said, to dig a hole for them. The people from the Quanzhen sect were people who liked to look for excitement. They liked to poke a hornet's nest when they had nothing better to do. They naturally couldn't take it lying down after being chased so miserably. Now that they heard Wuji's words, all of them became excited. I was waiting for you to say that. Mingdu waved his staff and clenched his fist. Damn it, even if I really get killed, it's worth it to bite them before I die. That's right, Old Li is right. To place one's pride agreed. The others also had determined expressions on their faces. After all, playing games was just for the sake of getting revenge. He was already under a lot of pressure in real life. If he was bullied while playing games, he might as well not play at all. What about you, old fish? Wuji asked Baimingyuyu. The others didn't need to be mentioned. They were either old Xuanzhen experts, or they had been with Xuanzhen ever since they entered the game. None of them were afraid of trouble. Only Baimingyuyu was someone who liked to live a peaceful life after careful consideration. Baimingyuyu unhappily pulled out her dagger. What are you talking about? I'm also from Xuanzhen. Do you think I'm called the Mercenary King for nothing? Alright. As long as I'm here, everyone will be fine. Now listen to my commands. Wuji nodded, pointed in the direction of Thunderstorm City, and said to Baimingyuyu, later, old fish, you will ambush in the east. Try to harass them as much as possible. If you can kill them, then kill them. If you can't, then go into stealth. Just stall them. Yes. Baimingyuyu replied. Wuji then pointed in the direction of the mountain wall and said, Daoshua, you will ambush in the direction of the mountain wall. Just like old fish, your goal is to stall the enemy. Mingjian Daoshua understood and said, understood. What about me? Wang Yu asked when he saw that Mingjian Daoshua and Baimingyuyu had been assigned tasks. Don't be anxious. Old cow, your task is the heaviest. You need to lead the prey in circles. Wuji said. Circle in circles? Wang Yu wondered, how do we circle in circles? Wuji said, bring the prey to the trap coordinates I gave you. That's easy. Wang Yu said boldly. Old cow, you make me feel the most at ease. Wuji said sincerely. Leading the two guilds in circles was easy. Probably only Wang Yu dared to say that. Right after, Wuji said to the others, the rest of you, follow me and listen to my commands. Just as Wuji was making arrangements for the battle, Heart Alliance's players had already retreated out of the forest. At that time, Carefree Fish and Flowing Cloud had also returned to the main road. How is it? Did you find them? Carefree Fish anxiously asked when he saw me touch Mercy. Quanzhen's group had the most important thing to Carefree Fish. At this moment, Carefree Fish was more concerned about their whereabouts than anyone else. I touch Mercy stammered. They're in the forest on the right, but they're too cunning, so I didn't catch them. I brought 300 people into the forest, and only 100 were left. I didn't have the face to show off such an embarrassing thing. Carefree Fish heard this and said, yes, as expected. Hurry and notify Berserk Sky Law and have them come search. Carefree Fish had understood Quanzhen's strength a few years ago. Quan Zhen's strength had always been unscrupulous. In this kind of environment, if they wanted to catch these slippery fellows, it might be difficult for them. But boss, don't Quan Zhen's people have their guild leveling tools? I Touch Mercy had a conflicted expression when he heard this. Guild leveling tools. If Berserk Sky Law interfered, even if they caught Quan Zhen, it was hard to say who would win. Carefree Fish glared at me and said, I have my own thoughts. Just do as I say. I Touch Mercy helplessly and could only send a message to Raging Thunderheart. Quan Zhen's people are on the right. Hurry and catch them. Don't say that I don't want to share resources with you. Raging Thunderheart and his people searched for a long time but couldn't find any traces of Quan Zhen. Just as he was feeling depressed, he suddenly received a message from One Heart Alliance. He couldn't contain his excitement, but he still said, It looks like you won't be able to catch them. Cut the crap. Are you coming or not? I'm coming. Very quickly, Berserk Sky Law's players retreated from the forest. Seeing so many people from Berserk Sky Law, Carefree Fish was delighted and asked Raging Thunderheart, Is Boss Thunder God here? Raging Thunderheart said, Boss Thunder God is guarding Iron Rock Castle. He definitely can't go alone. Is that so? I'm more experienced in dealing with the Quan Zhen sect. If we want to capture them, I'll have to command them. What do you think? Underwater Watcher was a cunning person. When he saw that the Berserk Thunder God wasn't around, he immediately wanted to fight for the right to command. As long as we can catch them, I have no objections. Raging Thunderheart wanted the items on Quan Zhen's body. It didn't matter who was in command, so he nodded in agreement. All right. You guys follow behind us. We're in the nearby forest. Carefree Fish said. Wait, why are you guys in front? Raging Thunderheart wasn't an idiot. The prey was only a dozen or so people. It wasn't like they were facing a large group of people. Of course, whoever was in front had a higher chance of catching the prey. Carefree Fish smiled and said to Raging Thunderheart, Since you say so, how about you guys go in front and we'll follow behind? Boss. I Touch Mercy was shocked. Just as he was about to say something, Carefree Fish stopped him. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.